They thought they had banished us forever. But now, finally, we have returned.
Hello and welcome back to another Return to Form, reviewing or reacting to kind of bad prequel defenses slash bad Star Wars stuff. Let's first bring in the man who found this. Please welcome the White Dragon.
I have returned from the grave for only a minute until I just go back into my crusty asshole. Yeah, I found this the other day, and I am very excited to see what Dunn thinks of a certain part of this video. So let's get this show on the road, you retard.
Indeed. Well, let's bring in Kodak.
With these words, I, Rabuti Gilliman, Lord Commander of the Imperium, son of the Emperor of Mankind, declare the Indomitus Crusade. Traitors, mutants, demons, pay heed to the coming of my armies and the ruin we promise your miserable kind. This galaxy is ours.
40k will always be better, despite DW.
Nah. Yep. And let's bring in Mr.
Could we possibly make any more noise? I guess so.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We should get started. We're a tad late, so let's go.
Comparing the protagonists of the two trilogies reveals a lot.
No, it doesn't.
Both of the Skywalker boys begin in something close to destitution, with absent fathers in a desert.
Okay.
Hey, poetry, they rhyme.
Okay, first point already wrong. Absent father. Okay.
Well, because one, this small character can act.
There's also Uncle Owen is not an absent father.
I mean, he's still a father figure. I mean,
well, absent father means that
basically they left to get some cigarettes at a gas station, but never come back.
Well, I guess
the middle.
Well, here's the question: is he referring to absent father, as in he doesn't have one, or he has an absent father figure as an adjective, because like a distant father figure in his life?
Well, I'm afraid you're gonna have to die with that question, and just don't expect explanations for things when it comes to people like this.
Yeah, because that's weird. Because if he's doing the absent father figure, or
Right off the bat, even
I am assuming he means
Luke pines
literal
for
father,
adventure, but Anakin just pines for freedom. Yeah, sure. Both of them dream of leaving Tatooine and exploring the galaxy, but Luke isn't sentimental about ditching his family. He can't wait to leave.
He wants to join the Empire.
For his friends, for Biggs and Wedge, who have already left him behind. Anakin, on the other hand, is defined entirely by his love for his family.
There we go.
Just one single person.
And he's not.
Look, I think he literally he said that Luke has more love for his friends than his family.
What?
Well, he still loves his dad, even if and tries to get him back from the bad guys. So
I guess he's talking about at the beginning. He's talking about, I guess, the start of his journey, like when we first seen him in New Hope.
I was getting so ready to get ready for this video. Now I gotta go pee for a second. Be right back.
Yeah. Don't slip, White.
How does a dragon pee?
Shut up. And I don't pee with the door open. I do it closed.
Well,
who doesn't pee with the door closed?
People who live alone.
Very strange people.
Well, someone could come in at any minute.
This is also true.
Now I'm just thinking of that one Star Trek joke with the toilet. So,
Yeah. All right, let's start.
His mother. Luke and Anakin aren't different from each other just for the sake of being different. They do share some things. When the call to adventure comes, both boys refuse it. Luke says,
I can't get involved. I've got work to do.
He's programmed out of a sense of loyalty, not love. He's programmed to obey his mentors. In the first
okay. That's a weird way to frame it.
No.
That's a very weird way to frame this situation. I mean, he does clearly love his aunt and uncle. That's the reason why. I mean, it's love and loyalty aren't mutually exclusive things.
No, he said so. Shut up. He knows.
Shut up, Replica.
You guys are just wrong about the prequels. You just don't understand the intricate details. You're just wrong.
Yeah,
I don't need to explain why.
This is
George
also
Lucas is
true.
infallible. He can never do anything. Bill was made for 12-year-olds, guys. If you can't understand that, then there's no hope for you.
Yeah, for an anomaly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh god, I watched one of his videos. I think it was a Star Wars only video. I think I only got like halfway through and just fucking died. I just KO'd looking for
Christ.
having a goddamn stroke.
Recently, a couple weeks ago, I rewatched. I got around fully watching the Ubucast coverage of Anomaly's cosmonaut videos.
Yeah.
Fucking
Those don't make Anomaly look good. I'm really sorry.
yeah, I mean, I was watching one of his Star Wars only video, the first one, and I'm like, half his responses are like not even to fucking Star Wars only. They're like random tangents about something completely different than what he says. He just makes up straw man that Star Wars only wasn't even talking about. Like he's like Star Wars only. Don't get me wrong. Star Wars only is wrong about a lot of things. Or he doesn't just clarify what the fuck he means by like bad CGI and shit.
Yes,
and then Anomaly goes on this rant about, oh, you should appreciate the visuals and stuff. It was hard to make. I'm like, oh god, we're not even talking the same thing anymore.
Yeah, that's a really bad argument to say how hard it was to make.
Yeah,
not only is it dumb because you can just make that argument for literally any movie. It's irrelevant to the fucking point that Star Wars only was making in the first place.
I mean, just because someone works hard on something doesn't always mean the turnout is good.
Yes, Tommy, like those movies, a masterpiece. You're just wrong. You don't understand.
Yeah, no. Also, Neil Breen. He made the best movie ever made with Fateful Findings.
Hey, that is objectively good. I don't know what you're talking about. You just don't understand.
Join me as we join this virtual metaverse.
You know what? I should totally do that one day when I actually get my crusty ass back on this platform. I should do like a video essayist on like why fucking Neil Breen films are great. He has emotions.
We need to watch. Hey, can we watch Twisted Pair or something like that one time? I watched Fateful Findings like a month ago. I want to watch more.
Do you notice like how fucking uptight this guy is? I mean, what's the word? I was just using it earlier. Fucking
pretentious.
Pretentious, yes. Like how pretentious this guy is. It's like he needs to put the words on the fucking screen as he's saying them because apparently people won't realize what he's saying.
Yeah, I hate that with video essays. So they always have to like put especially when sometimes they put a sound effect over. It's like
where it's like really emotional music. It was like piano. It's like the classic one, and then we. No.
I put on some Moonlight Sonata, and it was like, this is a really sad movie.
Remember, guys, soft spoken and fragile. Quote Muller's fucking TLJ's fucking video. Alright, I think we ranted on long enough on this one.
Obeys Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
In the second film, he disobeys him. And in the third film, he somehow both
pause. I just let me pause.
Options.
I know.
Anakin.
Fucking done. You just had a stroke there. I mean, what I was about to say is I love the part where he just recaps what happens in the movie. It's like thanks. I have eyes and ears. I too can watch movies. I too have ears.
No, you're watching movies wrong, White.
Shut the fuck up, die in a hole.
You're watching movies
Okay,
wrong.
Noble.
You're watching movies wrong. You're watching movies wrong.
Yeah, unironically, Noble actually did that, which is really funny.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
We'll talk about what.
What? Huh? Sorry.
No, like Noble Commando actually said that.
What?
He actually
You're watching
said,
movies wrong.
Yeah.
Don't fucking. He was glad he didn't catch me. He's never the fucking voice chat. Would have turned him an asshole. Especially since I know his weak point. I know his weakness. We just talk about the super shotgun's ammo capacity and Doom Eternal. He just turns into a fucking child. Starts freeing.
This is accurate, actually. Yeah.
Either way.
No, he started like actually screaming like a fucking kid, like at the top of his lungs, and fucking kicked us from the voice call.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Let's keep
Okay,
playing.
that is funny.
Go on. Resume.
Yes.
Refuses his call to adventure for a very different reason. Because he would have to leave his mother behind. Anakin
No
is
way.
He can remain a slave on this dumpster planet, or he can
wrong.
Go explore the stars with his crush.
Wrong pause.
Study the
I don't
Force
think you guys caught it.
Crush. I mean, that's a little.
No. I don't, because I watched this before. I was paying attention to what he was saying. I think we're kind of just talking over it, but essentially what he says is that this is after he got freed. He's saying that he can still remain a slave, or he can leave the planet. And like, no, he's not a slave anymore. He's free. The fuck you on about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could just take him to like some orphanage or someplace.
Like, just because he stays on Tatooine doesn't mean he's not a slave. I mean, doesn't mean he's a slave. He's objectively not a fucking slave anymore. He's free.
Well, don't you know from replica slavery wasn't that bad? This is like the most realistic depiction of slavery in film.
I don't want it. I don't want it. You're not my queen. The most non-slavery slave.
Yeah.
It's basically just.
It's basically interchangeable from fucking working servitude workforce.
It's basically just he's got a job. He's just got a like after school job.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm on
just
coffee now.
The only thing that it's basically just he has an after school job. That is all that this is.
Not the fact that I think I watched the UvaCast also pointed this out, which is something I never thought about. It's like his slavery is him being a slave has like no effect on his psyche in any of the other movies whatsoever. It is just forgotten about.
Honestly, the depiction of slavery in Return of the Jedi is a lot better.
Oh yeah. The Twi'lek girl, or like what they do to Leia. Like that actually kind of does make, or even what they do to like R2 and 3PO. And also,
yeah.
I don't know. It's unrealistic that masters want to beat their slaves because they have to pay their medical bills.
Yeah. That whole thing was ridiculous and stupid. I'm like,
oh yeah, he did say that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
We were there. I remember that.
Yeah, it was on your old podcast, White.
I just functionally just had a fucking blue screen. Like, I can't believe you actually just said that.
Yeah, because that's a story that is based on an actual event.
I would have loved for him.
Historical event, shall we say.
Yeah, I've read the book in my sophomore class. Like, I think I still have it with me.
I honestly want to go. I don't know if he actually tried to explain it, but I don't remember any of it. I would just love for him, okay, why is it propaganda? And he just doesn't say anything. He just kind of just runs around the question, probably.
A whole lot. Oh yeah, that's that's a good point. Padme and Co do absolutely nothing about the Shmi situation. Like,
yeah,
they have money. Just buy her and free her. Do nothing, and a nothing burger moisture farmer bought her and married her later, admittedly after Watto had been broke, but he probably was hard up for cash. He could have just gotten her for a pittance. So stupid.
Then we go into the whole fucking exchange business where we had I had an aneurysm in an Omni server. We had to keep going back and forth between why, like, exchanges, like, why are they a problem in the prequels and not the original trilogy? And they just can't comprehend that different situations call for different contexts. Like, what the story was doing.
That is actually a very good point. One of her dresses was probably enough. Yeah. They probably don't need very much more.
Yeah, he has a whole fucking wardrobe of fucking stupid shit. But no, there's no exchange or anything. Fuck you.
It's so dumb.
It's such an easy fix. It's like, oh, I don't like your currency or something, or it's like something else that you could easily just address.
Yeah.
Besides saying nah.
Republic clients don't work on me. Only money.
Wait a minute. Republic credit our money. Hold on a second.
Or I think it's mind tricks do not work on me.
I know. I was
only
making a joke. I was just joking. I was just. You got me. What was that? A pretty nice, comical character. Say what you want about this movie. At least Waldo was pretty likable.
Pretty close, actually. It's pretty dang close.
Well, yeah, it's like that Attack of the Clones. She has like a different dress in every scene she's in.
She has a different dress in everything she's in.
She's
in
like
this
Lady
movie.
Penelope. Yeah.
I have one for this scene. I have one for this scene. I have one for this scene. It's like Oprah went to her house. It's like, go ahead. No, we can continue.
Yeah.
Greatest Jedi Knights in the history of the game. And
Hold on, go back.
To remain a slave.
Go back. I think we missed another detail there. I don't think you're gonna catch that, but I know what he's talking about. Go ahead, rewind it a bit, and I'm just gonna be quiet.
With one of the greatest Jedi Knights in the history of the game. And he chooses to remain a slave. Just like Luke, Anakin's greatest power, his heart, his ability to love, is the founding flaw of his arc. I think it's crucial to point out how, at the end of A New Hope, Luke must turn off a targeting computer.
Oh, here we go again. We're getting some Rick Worley shit.
While on the other hand, Anakin...
What?
We just rewind it like another minute, and so we can get the full context of like what he's saying.
Planet, or he can have his freedom to go explore the stars with his crush and study the Force with one of the greatest Jedi Knights in the history of the game.
You just made that up.
To remain a slave. Just like Luke, Anakin's greatest power, his heart, his ability to love, is the founding flaw of his arc. I think it's crucial to point out how, at the end of A New Hope, Luke must turn off a targeting computer, which is a great metaphor for his conscious mind, while on the other hand, Anakin must turn off the autopilot.
What do they have to do with each other?
This is very much, you are reading way too freaking deep into this movie, dude. George Lucas
also
does
Anakin
not think this deeply. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's also R2 turned off the targeting computer, not the autopilot, not Anakin.
Yeah, it turns off the autopilot. Otherwise, as you'll get us both killed.
Yeah, he even plays that clip later on.
Which is really funny, honestly.
Just keep playing.
That's my favorite video game.
Keep playing.
For just the opposite, his instincts. People who hate the Phantom Menace still tend to love the duel with Darth Maul at the climax.
Even though it's very badly choreographed.
That was the choreography, bad.
Well, basically, at multiple points, they could have killed him the whole time. Killed him at any point. The Jedi could have killed Darth Maul at multiple points when you look carefully.
It's kind of similar to like the throne room fight scene, like from TLJ, where the saber, like the knife disappears. Or, like it's like having an opening. It's because we do this with sword fights all the time when like rings of power and shit. Like you have an obvious opportunity to stab someone, but you don't because reasons. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's subtle, but it's kind of just when you look for it, you can't unsee it.
I mean, granted, to be fair, there's a couple of fights the OT that are kind of like that. Kind of like one moment Empire Strikes Back.
Well, I would say I would hold those to the same standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also
fair.
dumb.
Yeah, particularly one point where Luke could have gone for Vader's head during the end of their fight in Empire. But yeah, I get what you mean, but I wouldn't say this is a bad fight. I mean,
well, that would depend on your standards of what a fight is.
It's okay. It's very flashy, but there's a number of problems with it that make it rather difficult to take seriously.
Like when you have characters that could have done obvious. So, like, if you have characters doing something obviously stupid, like jumping, Obi-Wan jumping over Maul when Maul could have just hold his lightsaber out and just sliced him in half as he's jumping. Like stupid stuff like that. That's like, okay, that's a little too much. Stupid. Or yeah, go ahead.
I never noticed this one guy's mustache on the left. Yeah, it's got one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. That's a bitch mustache.
That is a funny stash.
I've never noticed that.
But I infringe.
Part of the reason is how cool Darth Maul is and his double-bladed lightsaber and everything. Yeah, that's cool. But that's just the festoons. That's the decor. The reason this lands so hard is because the stakes are emotionally significant.
What's at stake is really how Anakin's going to turn out. Because Qui-Gon is different than the rest of the Jedi. And you get that in the movie. And
he's a bit roguish, okay.
I guess
it's all implied. It's never actually shown.
Yeah, it's a major problem, honestly. I fundamentally disagree.
I've been watching some like actually decent, good movies and stuff like T1 and Fellowship, and I'm just like, yeah, the contrast between like they show and tell you sometimes, and mostly show, and it's like a far better a way of showing an audience what's happening or the stakes. Like if fucking Fellowship was written by George, they would have just told you that the ring ranks are like the big bad, not actually show you like how dangerous they are.
Yeah.
Or the freaking Terminator would just start busting into dialogue for some reason.
I wonder what these movies would have been like if they were given to like Spielberg or Ron Howard, like what was originally intended.
You would get scenes.
Sorry, go for
it. Spielberg actually directed the opening scene for Episode 3.
Really? Oh yeah, you mean like the space battle scene?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, never knew that. I guess that's kind of an indicator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really count Solo for Ron Howard since, well, he was kind of thrown last minute for that, kind of like a Justice League situation going on. So
he was very much a director for hire. He was very much a director for hire in that case.
Yeah, it's like what Josh Whedon like with Justice League. I mean, obviously we know he can make good stuff like Avengers, but yeah, you get what I mean.
I like Von Luster. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I fucking have a shrug every time. I like how like everybody like has a different like nobody really knows who like the main character of Phantom Menace. You get completely different answers for different people, even George Lucas. like Anomaly would say one guy is the main character, but George would say it's another one, and I'm like, I don't know.
Like how I know George says that the main character's movie is Padme,
which is utterly stupid.
Somehow, yeah.
It's
because it's her planet and like all that, but
it's
hardly
dumb.
involved.
It's just dumb. It's so dumb. It's just every time George Lucas opens his mouth, I'm just like, you are really dumb. you're an idiot. When you actually open your freaking mouth, it's so frustrating to listen to this complete moron say crap like, well, I don't like character-driven plots or character-driven drama. And it's
Especially,
like, why are you so dumb? Why do you say this crap?
that's also been
Because it's
kind
poetry,
of
it
confirmed
rhymes.
in the audio commentary for the Phantom Menace. You know the scene where Anakin brings Obi-Wan, Padme, and Jar Jar to their home. He says, I think he says something on the lines like, "Oh, we all have to do these scenes. We don't like those scenes, and we just have to get them over with," or something along those lines. It's like the small moments where character interactions is happening, and it's like, wow, that tells you your skill level when it comes to that stuff.
But done. It rhymes. It's poetry.
Yeah, I know. Like Anomaly's like convinced that Qui-Gon's like the main character. Like I remember people like, who's the character of the Phantom Menace? He's like, it's Qui-Gon, duh.
Yeah, and he has such limited characterization. It's kind of frustrating.
Like I know they claim he's like a great Jedi, that he has a lot of great morality. That's what makes him like such a great character.
He's more just he's an impulsive douchebag.
Yeah. I'll find you, and I'll kill you.
I'll hunt you down.
I didn't watch that movie.
It's really a shame, Rick. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just I was about the movie. Like, what's that movie that I quoted? Like, I know the meme. Dead Taken. Like, I probably need to get around watching that movie.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's really a shame though, because it's a shame that Liam is actually a really decent actor, exactly, but in this film he has nothing to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we hardly really know anything about his character, like what his goals are and shit.
And we don't even.
It's honestly he's. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say one major plot point in this that seems to be driving at least some of the story is the prophecy, and nobody knows what it is.
Yeah,
it's a problem because, like, if they're going to hang something on it, they got to tell us what it is. At least in the cases of something like Willow, where the prophecy is because of this baby, Bad Morta will be defeated. Therefore, the bad guy takes the initiative and starts doing stuff. So this creates. However, with this, nobody is doing it. The only person who does anything because he's the chosen one is pretty much just Qui-Gon.
I'm sorry, but once you said like the villains started doing stuff, I'm getting flashbacks from Prince of Egypt, and I just remember the scene where like all the people were just killing all the babies.
Yeah, which is well, at least like in the original movie and in some of the Apocrypha, they kill them not because they're not just because they're got large numbers they need to cull all the herd, so to speak, but because they want to avert a prophecy that they think of a deliverer they think is going to be fulfilled. That is also true. Yes. Also, it's never explained what balance is exactly. That is also true. For George, it's the elimination of the dark side, but it is so freaking vague that it really doesn't really correlate at all between anything.
That's why we get the ideas of the gray Jedi and like the balance is between dark and light. That's like because it's so unclear in the prequels, people have to make up stuff about it, and which can be completely wrong, according to George. which is his own fault because he doesn't like give us enough information to go off of.
Yeah, which is one of the main reasons why I just say George Lucas is not very talented. He was a flash in the pan who peaked way too early.
Like basically, like
You could say he's a Flash Gordon.
Yeah. Flash Lucas.
Never change.
Well, you could thank George for that one.
Yeah, the prophecy they never go around to revealing, Qui-Gon is willing to, but is apparently not willing to just steal it. Yeah, that's a weird dichotomy that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's a weird, that's a distinction without a difference, really. He's just not willing to use physical force to kill him first.
Or subdue. You don't even have to kill him.
Agreed. Fans cobbled together. Yeah, that's a major problem.
Yeah. But it's a shame too that it's a shame that he's. So go on.
Oh, I was just going to say he's a very smart businessman because he got the rights to the merchandising rights before.
Oh yeah, the toys.
Before it was important, and because of that, he was able to get a lot of money. He was able to get a lot of money. Pretty much everything he made came from the toy sales.
He's far more better as a visionary, as a businessman than he is as a writer.
Yeah, maybe it would have been better if, let's say, he just ran the business side of Star Wars, and you might have just had like Steven Spielberg and like Ron Howard just make the prequels.
Yeah, unfortunately, they gave him the green light with the prequels. Like they're saying, like, no, it's your baby, you can do it yourself. Unfortunately, they led him to failure.
Yeah.
Do you think Ron Howard could make a good Star Wars movie? Like
he made a good. He made Willow, which is one of my personal favorites.
It's a child version of Lord of the Rings.
He also made Rush, which is a really good racing movie.
Yes, he did.
So
on my list.
Hey, sorry to kind of but can we probably keep continuing with the video?
Yeah, we should.
Our conversation more
He's
better.
fighting because he knows he's the father that Anakin needs.
Again,
I'm sorry.
like
Where did you
episode
pull that?
6.
The dad. So you basically want a dude who doesn't have a consistent sense of morality.
He's not the father Anakin deserves, but the one he needs.
Oh,
Can you get that?
I will definitely admit that George Lucas is a far better businessman than I will ever be. He also got extremely lucky because the studio wasn't smart enough to say, you know what? No,
We can profit from this.
Yeah, he didn't say, because they didn't realize how profitable toys would be.
I do have to say, Rocky, I think Count is just tooling with you.
Yeah, he's just Michael Bay rocks.
Yeah.
So Valeria, which was your favorite part of Transformers? The dogs screwing or the racism? Or the racist caricatures with buck teeth, with illiterate buck teeth robots?
Or try to justify underage dating.
We can criticize. I don't begrudge him his success. I just think that he got really lucky and then coasted and didn't. And part of the problem is he didn't play to his strengths. I haven't watched Andor. I missed the dog blinking. Fair enough.
That's it. What did you say?
I heard Ian Mahler praised in his recent video.
I have heard a lot of good things about Andor.
Yeah, even Mahler and Efep like it. So,
which is kind of
I gotta get around watching that because it's kind of been a while since I watched really anything new from Star Wars.
I've kind of been of the opinion that I just don't. I'm just boycotting anything Lucasfilm. I don't really want to watch anything that they make.
I mean, I didn't watch Indiana Jones 5, and I'm glad I didn't do that.
You should watch the Sales of Seven Seas edition because the ending fight is like the funniest shit ever unintentionally.
Really?
Oh yeah, I don't know if anybody cares about spoilers, but it's just the funniest.
I know it. The whole I've watched the whole movie, or well, no, I'm not. I haven't watched it. I've just watched the EFAP.
I watched British Potatoes breakdown on it.
Mm.
Yeah, the thing is, I like watching something before I watch a breakdown because I want to get my own stuff on it before everybody else. And I had me and British watch it at the same time, and I was just dying after the ending battle because that was just the funniest shit ever.
Well, for me, I just kind of said, I'm not gonna watch this. I'm never going to watch this. I am not interested in ever seeing this. So I just said, yeah, why not? And I did
get some fucking Game of Thrones PTSD from that fucking ending battle scene, though.
Yeah.
I think Michael might know. Fucking Dunn might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was
the
bad.
fucking railgun scorpions again. Are we really doing this again?
Okay.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
This lightsaber duel has no causal connection to the two other planes where the war is being fought. This is a spiritual battle. It's a battle for the fate of the chosen one. It's a fight for the moral alignment of what will become the strongest Jedi in the history of the galaxy.
I don't agree with
thus
this.
It's a fight for the soul of the galaxy.
Why?
Qui-Gon Jinn only appears in this one episode, and yet his death is just as tragic as Obi-Wan's or as Yoda's. As we've mentioned before, George...
Why?
No.
Why? No.
Sometimes I just want to sit these people down and ask why. Like, well, why do you think that? Just because it is, bro. You just don't understand, bro. Genius.
What are you doing?
Genius!
Genius!
Brilliant!
Holy shit, it's turning into a goddamn song out here.
Lucas can condense his world building into a few quick seconds of dialogue, but with Qui-Gon Jinn, he doesn't even need to. He never spells it out for us, but if you're paying attention, it's
oh no,
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Wait. Let him finish.
Let him cook.
He never spells it out for us, but if you're paying attention, it's clear. Qui-Gon Jinn is the OG Jedi. He's
sorry.
also the OG rebel. I mean, he refused to.
Yeah, this is reaching.
Yeah.
Would you be able to clarify that, Valnestra? I'm not sure I understand. It is semi-connected. I will fully agree with that.
Him being the OG Jedi.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
No idea where he gets that.
Okay, 1 second, Vaughn. 1 second. There we go. Send. There you go. I would be interested to hear your thoughts. Definitely.
Yay! It does seem that way, yes.
This guy is so close to making an actual interesting point, but he's gone too far. That I would concur with that, actually. Yeah.
Just put a scratch. Sorry, I was reading stuff on Discord. I was just saying stuff out loud.
I mean, mostly the big issue with this whole thing, it's not portrayed like that. He is just the way he is, and it's like not.
That is true.
It's not elaborated on.
Yeah, that part's true. Like, he is kind of a rebel in a lot of ways.
Rebel without cause.
I would like to see that mentality like grow after this film and that part, because it's like, yeah, he's sort of roguish, but that's about it. It's not really like a part of the film necessarily.
A little bit, yeah.
It's mostly there, just like hinted at, and then I'm just like, have more, please. Can we get more of that?
May I have some more?
More?
Maybe like have a discussion. Maybe hey, like have some Jedi like follow in his ideology and stuff, and like we should be more like Qui-Gon. No, we should be more like this or something along those lines. But after this move, that completely that just goes away.
Yeah. You should get that clip done. You should probably put that clip in here.
Yeah, probably. That would be fun.
Please, sir. So what happened to Overcast? Honestly,
man, they got burned out.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually.
That's why I don't really release anything anymore. I just got burned out. After my whole year of hiatus doing research for these movies, I was thinking about doing a whole project on them. I just burnt myself out to the point where I'm like,
nope, I changed my mind.
Alrighty, let's keep going.
Become a part of the Jedi Council. He just does his own thing. By contrast, Obi-Wan is a company man.
We will do exactly as the Council has instructed.
His allegiance is not to the Force.
My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
He tells his own mentor.
Do not defy the Council, Master, not again.
I shall do what I must, Obi-Wan.
He tells his own mentor what to do. And what is Qui-Gon Jinn's reaction? To tell him to shut up and know his place?
And you will learn your place, young one.
No, he puts his arm around him. Qui-Gon Jinn was the first Jedi to learn how to return from beyond the grave as a Force ghost. And he even trained Master Yoda how to do this. He is Yoda's master. He is the ultimate Jedi. He discovered the Chosen One. He saved the Chosen One from slavery.
Here we go with the music.
He loved the Chosen One. He was destined to be his father. And he dies before he has the chance. This moment always gets me. You have to remember, Obi-Wan is a teenager. He's a Padawan. He hasn't even faced his trials yet. He's not even a full Jedi Knight. And this terrifying, inhuman creature, the first Sith to be seen in 1,000 years, murdered the OG Jedi. Obi-Wan doesn't stand a chance. And yet...
because of the plot.
We're getting into like feelings now.
Even when Maul has the high ground, the Force is with him. Maul is blinded by pride, by emotion. He thought he'd already won the fight. He was unwise to lower his defenses. Obi-Wan's victory over Maul ensures that Anakin will be trained as a Jedi,
we're doing this. I just freaking hate this whole thing where it's like, we just recap what the movie does and just make this an argument. Oh, yes, this happens in the movie, therefore this makes sense and shit. It's the most lazy fucking shit I've seen.
Yeah, that's accurate, yeah. Yeah.
He demonstrates his point by just recapping the movie. He's like, great.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work. Yeah, it's heterodoxy. Yeah, I think that there's a heterodoxy. I've actually never heard that word. Let me see. Deviation. Oh, it's okay. So deviation from orthodox standards and beliefs. Okay.
I think this mostly comes in. Most of the issue that comes into this is just lack of focus on what he was actually trying to go for. He was trying to do the politics. He was trying to do the Anakin stuff and Qui-Gon and all this at the same time, and just got muddled.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we have a guest in the background, so please welcome Mr. Miles.
You cannot hide from me.
Epic.
What did I do? I haven't done anything yet.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, welcome back. It's been a minute.
It's been a long ass time.
Hi, there.
It's a fat moose.
Somehow, I returned.
No.
Indeed.
Yeah, you were written by Chris Terrio, all right. Your whole life was written by Chris
Yes,
Terrio.
written by Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams.
Much more of an interesting movie this would have been if it actually that was like more focused on in the movies. This whole OG original Jedi kind of philosophy versus like the new. It's like nah.
Yeah, like Qui-Gon is not the OG Jedi.
I know, but
this is such a weird fan idealization of him. That it's more so okay. We need him to be this way for this movie to be good, but he's not this way.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, that's a good summation, actually.
He's pulling a lot of things from. He makes up a whole bunch of stuff about this character, and it's like, yeah, this is how he is. If you just don't pay attention, you're just wrong.
Yeah.
It's literally fucking headcanon is what I would say.
Yeah,
Poetry.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, let's keep going, shall we?
Shall we?
Qui-Gon's death is a massive blow, one which has consequences that shape Anakin's life and will one day have a huge impact on the economy of the entire galaxy. The Chosen One has
that is a very strange clip
father.
to go with that commentary.
Because we know.
Sorry, go for it.
I wanted to say one thing. It's like, does it really? It doesn't seem to really affect Anakin. Like maybe like if he was the master, you might have like been able to control Anakin. Maybe possibly.
Like,
Don't know.
Maybe what might have worked if, let's say, Anakin was already training under Qui-Gon, and that Obi-Wan was just like a Jedi Knight that accompanies him. Yeah. And then after Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan just becomes Anakin's master. Maybe something like that could work.
Especially since he has no context, he basically knows he should have more respect for Obi-Wan than he does for Qui-Gon. The reason why I say that is because he knows Qui-Gon for 2-3 days, and he knows Obi-Wan for multiple years. The fact that he has no respect for
10 years by the time of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
He has
13 by the time of Revenge of the Sith.
Like Qui-Gon's death has like no effect on fucking Anakin as a character or anything. It just happens, and it's like completely in movies completely forget about Qui-Gon, only for a couple of references in number 2 and 3, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, granted, it is the reason Count Dooku left, so I guess there's at least that.
See, the thing is, the films don't even establish that. Like, that's an EU thing that he left because of Qui-Gon dying. And
That's
then
accurate,
in Disney canon, they completely overturned that and had him leave before Qui-Gon died for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be neat, and that would be cool if Dooku left, because that would add some measure of a point to the Phantom Menace that goes with the other movies. But just as is, there isn't really a reason, because
Dooku doesn't even exist in the Phantom Menace. Like,
he's a massive fraud because he claims to be a political idealist, but in reality, he is not. He's a
political idealist, not a murderer.
Sorry, sorry, Kiari Mungdi, Mr. Big Brain, you're an idiot. Please sit down.
The thing is, I'm like,
go ahead. Sit back in the chair.
I had been working on this idea for like a minute, just thinking about this. Like, what if they use fucking Count Dooku as like, maybe he doesn't leave the Jedi Order, but he's kind of like maybe he does, and he forms off his own Jedi, like separatist movement kind of thing.
I'll bring my own.
He goes off with the Qui-Gon philosophy of the Jedi, like the old style.
Well, kind of the funny thing is he creates his own team of Jedi. He creates his own team of Dark Jedi that he uses during the Clone Wars in the original EU, which is so much more interesting. There's so much cooler stuff in the original EU. There's so many cool things in the original EU that didn't get picked up by the 2008 Clone Wars, which is frustrating. But yeah.
Especially since the original EU told a better story than the 2008 Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Obi-Wan is not a father.
You are my brother, Anakin.
Well, neither is
He's a
Qui-Gon.
brother. I mean, even Luke had a myth about his father that he could cling to. He mentions his father several times. It's something that motivates him to become a Jedi in the first place.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
But Anakin doesn't even have that. He has Obi-Wan, a guy who gives him questionable advice.
Dreams pass in time.
A guy who colludes with a fairly corrupt political establishment called the...
He doesn't know that.
Jedi Order.
Here's the thing about that. The Jedi being corrupt is most... The Republic being corrupt is sort of implied in the prequels, but the Jedi being corrupt is something largely made by fans, because George Lucas took what is a pretty reasonable concept in theory and fumbled the bag with writing it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some major problems. We also have please welcome Mr. Scorpio.
Coincidence? I think not.
It's not.
One thing I wanted to say is it's such a weird word to use. Collude with the same organization you work with, like, I don't know. It's a bit of a head scratcher for me. The wording he uses,
under the standard, Qui-Gon is also colluding with it because he's a member.
Well, he did. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he did. But he was a member. He worked with the Jedi Council. He's an official member. He's a high-ranking member, relatively speaking.
I mean, they're talking about Obi-Wan?
No, I'm talking about Qui-Gon.
Oh, sorry.
The president of the United States colludes with the U.S. government. That's correct.
Well, it's more like saying that a senator colludes with the American government.
I know it is just a weird, redundant word.
Or a detective colludes with the local police department.
Yeah.
A member of the organization works with the organization.
Yeah, so Mr. Scorpio,
well, thank you for having me.
What's been your thoughts so far on this?
I mean, I could my relationship with Star Wars is so fraught and strange. It's my first love as a nerd property, I guess, and I could talk forever about just how having Dooku in the Phantom Menace would have totally that alone would have made it so much better.
Yeah, it would have fixed a lot and would have provided a lot more context and pathos.
I mean, it's just like it's the weirdest thing. It feels like I have this huge soft spot for Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
But it feels so much like he wrote episode 1 by itself without any idea of how he was actually going to do episode 2.
Yeah, that's
it really does.
I mean, there's so many things to go into with this.
To be fair, I myself also have a soft spot for episode 3 since I watched it with my family when we were young, when it first came out in the theaters.
I mean, I legitimately think
everyone did.
It's very good. I think it's very underrated, actually. But two is much more flawed, but still redeeming film, as far as I'm concerned. Man, I I mean, where do we even begin? Like with this stuff, right? Like Qui-Gon, like Qui-Gon as like the rebel Jedi is correct. Like he's right about that. Qui-Gon being able to be the and that would make him the ideal teacher for Anakin. That is a through line in like, you know, that's a very subtextual thing in the narrative, but it doesn't really come through the way it should. It's very vague. The prophecy thing really sucks. I can go into how much I hate that, and not because like chosen ones are dicey in general, but like,
sorry, yeah.
Like if you say that there is a prophecy about a chosen one, and you don't even tell us what the prophecy says, like word for word, you kind of undercut the whole idea that
the thing
the chosen one is a valid plot point.
Like I've had this argument with my friend. He's like, you know, one of the reasons he doesn't like the post Episode 6 EU, and I understand it's not all great, but one of the things he doesn't like about it is that like he doesn't like the return of the Sith or the dark side. And I've heard other people complain about that too. Like it's you know, one thing they don't like about it is that it delegitimizes the theme set out by Lucas or blah 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 blah. And I don't dislike Lucas that much, really. But I'm sitting there and I'm going like, okay, does Anakin destroy evil in the hearts of all Force users? Does he make it so that you can't use the Force for evil anymore? What are we saying here? Like this is that he would actually be Jesus Christ if he did that, right? But that's ridiculous. That's the end of history if that happens.
Like even in the prequels, that like the Sith were supposed to be destroyed, but they came back. So that sets a precedent that they could come back.
It's like saying that because I defeat the Nazi Party in World War II, which is good. That's a good thing. It means that I somehow remove the capacity for humanity to re-embody their beliefs. That's ridiculous.
I have solved racism, everybody. We can go home now.
I mean, we won't get into the fact.
Like, I'm willing to give the expanded universe a bit of a pass for the most part, not entirely, because mostly the Sith that they introduced post Return of the Jedi were people who were just trying to, like, Palpatine and Vader were the last of the quote unquote proper Sith. And everyone else is just trying to pick up the pieces, do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean that itself is a clever idea, right? Like that's fine that the different orders go through different iterations and variations. Like that's perfectly reasonable.
Like, the idea is essentially that the people who tried to follow in their footsteps never actually managed it.
Yeah, kind of like neo-Nazis.
Also, Kai just add a lot of that a lot of that stuff was written before the prequels even came out anyway. So there's also
the meta history of Star Wars, the historiography of Star Wars for production side is also screwy as hell.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's nuts.
Oh yeah,
and
there are some exceptions to this whole never managed to live up and the proper Sith literature, but that's not particularly relevant for this video.
Mm-hmm.
There's Dooku, and like there are other things that I think hurt the prequels and maybe Star Wars overall. Lucas is too married, I think, to his pulp sensibilities. And best example I can give is that Dooku should be using a blue lightsaber, not a red lightsaber.
What
the hell? Where's that feedback coming from? Is that from me?
Yeah.
Was that from me? I didn't realize.
Ear rape. Everybody should ear rape me this stream. Happened white earlier.
So I'm sorry, in case no one heard, what I said was that one of the best examples of Lucas's like pulp sensibilities, right, bleeding through too much, is that Dooku is using a red lightsaber instead of a blue lightsaber, right? Whereas in so much of the good EU stuff, a good part of like the EU was that the idea that Dooku being on the side of Separatists made people confused about the Jedi Order, and that is killed if they can paint him as effectively a heretic and an apostate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if they could just say he's part of the evil cult that we've been battling for thousands of years that you all know about, that's well documented in our histories, then like of course he's on the evil side against the Republic. And that's probably the biggest, like I would argue the biggest structural flaw with the prequels is that they do not get into nearly enough the tension between the Jedi Order and the Senate. That should have been front
which they kind of need to, because it's crucial for the plot.
Yeah, exactly. Like to me, like the episode, like I kind of hate episode 1, and it's weird because I don't think it's like horrific in and of itself, but the way a lot of the suffering and a lot of where 2 suffers is that it has to do double duty and has to reestablish and we have to reestablish the whole plot of episode, the whole political conflict that episode 1 kind of like resolves, right? Because the political conflict in episode 1 should not resolve in episode 1 for many, many reasons. Not the least of which is that a constituent member of the body politic is being invaded by a corporate entity. This is bananas. I've heard people try to defend this by saying like this is the way it was in the colonial era or whatever. Like Naboo is like a member state of the largest federation, and I know. And look, I'm not going to sit here and defend like the UN or the League of Nations, but when member nations are invaded by like corporate entities, that means that nation has failed them. That is the crisis that destroys that nation or that political organization. Then that the extra national political organization, right?
Hell, even in my own fucking critique, I'm wondering why the fucking Trade Federation even has a seat in the Senate in the first place.
That's okay, right? Like, we can imagine non-national bodies having a place in a corrupt institution, which the Republic is, right? That's, to me, that's not the most ridiculous thing ever.
Well, the funny thing is that with the UN, you're talking about an organization that doesn't really have direct power over its member states. The Galactic Republic is a government.
Yeah, it's apparently a government without a military, which is ridiculous in and of itself.
Yeah,
this is where I think.
Imagine if, like, the American government couldn't enforce any kind of law on any of its states.
Like, well,
I mean,
this
is
called the Civil War, but
I mean, the reason why I brought that up is because now it starts bringing the question, like, I think we need to start to like bring up some ground rules stuff, like corporations can join the government, and I think we need to establish some basic stuff.
Well,
like
that's
how
the
the
thing.
government functions in the first place, but that never happens.
This is another discordant thing in all, I would argue, all of Star Wars, and it's this idea that like we have to realize this: George's politics are extremely boomer. They're extremely boomer liberal, and what that means is that the Republic is over. Like,
you mean that the movie's woke? Okay.
Well, I mean there's something far worse than woke.
I was joking. I
actually do. I'm being serious when I say that. Like the radical position is worse than the mainstream position. Like the woke is more correct than the boomer, as much as I hate the woke, right? Yeah. Because in George Lucas's conception, the Republic is like this peaceful thing, theoretically, that is corrupted by external elements. When the simple fact of the matter is that republics throughout history are the most militant and violent forms of organ. Like they're like the 3 major republics in history: the American, the Roman, the French, and the American, are super militant. Like, that's ridiculous. Even the Athenian democracy was hyper aggressive in its foreign policy. Mm-hmm. The idea that a republic doesn't have a military, when the entire strength of a republic is that an invested citizenry becomes champions of the state, and they become invested defenders of the society, is nuts. It's bananas.
Yeah, it's complete, and just that people would defend the idea that they don't have a military as something that makes sense is kind of ridiculous.
As they would have just been steamrolled by anybody that has even a semblance of like, oh, hey, I want to rule, like fucking Palpatine. That's why I harp on that so much. Like he wants to rule as like an emperor and stuff. And like in the beginning of like in episode 1 and beginning of episode 2, he has like all the advantages just to steamroll the fucking Republic. and he doesn't. And I'm just wondering what's the actual plan.
Well, the idea.
The funny thing is, this is one of the funniest things to me about Episode 1, is that what exactly was Palpatine's plan if the Trade Federation succeeded in preventing Padme from escaping Naboo?
So this is again something you have. I don't like having to turn to the EU for this, right? There's two general camps on this, right? One is that he's trying to just strengthen. He's doing some corrupt stuff, right? He's just trying to strengthen a potential enemy of the Republic that will eventually become the sentence, right? The other is that this is intentionally a false flag operation designed to garner him. Like this is in Plagueis, the Plagueis novel, which is very, 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 very good.
It is very good, yeah.
This is a false flag operation to garner him sympathy, so that he can vote out Chancellor Valorum and put himself in charge, or he can win the championship on a sympathy vote, right? And that can happen whether Padme escapes or not. In fact, he is expecting her to die in the occupation. And that's kind of what's going on there.
I mean, if you just watch the movie, you can definitely tell that. I'm just asking about the particular mechanics and how things work, not the overall stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, yeah. I mean, my big problem with that whole, not the Palpatine thing exactly, but like the I want to emphasize what happens in Episode 1 for a second, because this drives me nuts. Okay.
In Episode 2 in particular, especially after like the title screen, you realize the Republic does not have its own military, so it breaks Episode 1 in half and just entirely, because the whole military thing, you can't enforce your own rule and stuff, and the Jedi have been shown to be quite incompetent at peacekeeping outside of talking.
Well, it's like,
and
what is the point of going to the Republic if they can't help you?
Well, that is why there's a separatist. Like, this is one of the things that I like. This twists my mind so hard when I actually think about it. Like, why isn't Padme a separatist? Why?
That is also true at all, or even just why is Padme not wildly militant? Because she
should be. Yes, exactly. Right. I've said this. Like, she should be full throttle. We should have a military. We should like 100%. 100%. That's exactly my position. That is exactly my position. It's even in the Plagueis novel that the Naboo being able to defend themselves from the corporations that the Republic gives laissez-faire to, or it helps inspire the separatist movement, right? That's the logical progression.
Yeah, people basically decided that, well, the Republic is not going to provide an army, so we're going to provide our own.
Yeah, all their own local military. What I was trying to get at before we went on this again is the fact that Palpatine grew this entire clone army and just gives it to the Republic, and I'm just like, why?
Okay, so this is actually somewhat explainable. All right, yes, some of this is EU stuff, but this is actually somewhat logical. Okay, the Sith's goal, right, with the whole Clone Wars conflict, right, the whole Separatist movement, the Clone Wars conflict, right, is to first drag, like, the Separatist movement is an attempt, is them isolating the corrupt corporate and super powerful corporate bodies in the Republic, right? By making them openly rebel against the state, they can isolate them and destroy them, right? The second effect of it is to militarize the Republic itself and turn it into the military bureaucracy that the Empire will become. And of course, the addendum to that is to involve the Jedi in the war such that they are thoroughly compromised, not just politically, but also just physically. They are in battlefields and in danger. That is actually the point.
I would have certainly loved that to be in the movies themselves.
Yeah, I would like that to be in the movies too, but it isn't, right?
That would have fixed a lot of. That would have fixed that major issue just outright.
That would have been so cool if they'd had that in there, because that's such a neat little bit of info, but it's not
exactly. Like this is the thing. Like the point, and this is something that I do give Lucas credit for, and I will do this, is that Palpatine is using falsehood to do what would otherwise be a very good thing, right? He is bringing order to the side, and he is rooting out corrupt elements, but he is destroying a flawed order, which is the Republic, with lies, right? That's what actually makes him evil. He's establishing order on false premises, we might say.
It's funny. It is so funny when we talk about like easy fixes for the prequels and like how things can easily be solved with just not too much dialogue or anything. Just a couple of lines can fix so much. And we have people like JJ plagiarisms and shit trying to strawman us and just like, oh, you just wanted like everybody to like stop and everything and just talk endlessly or something in a big room or something.
This is a big political story. Like I like flashback order. If I was going to tell anyone to watch the series, I'd actually tell them to watch flashback order, which is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, because you need the 4 is like if you watch it in like release order in like a episode order, right?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 4 is like this ridiculous, like nothing action movie. After like very flawed, but clearly escalating political conflict, right?
Yeah, it's.
Whereas if you watch it 4, 5, like if you watch 4, 5, 1, if you watch it in the flashback order, right? 4 is just an action. It's a good, solid. I think it's in the running for one of the best action adventure movies ever, right? And I think that episodes 1 and 6 in particular suffer because they try to be too much like episode 4 at times, and they just can't measure up because almost no film can measure up to that, right? But you watch 4, and episode 4 is a simple movie. Episode 5, and I love episode 5. I think it's the best sequel ever. I think it's close to the best movie ever. I love it. Okay, 5 is this complete thematic transformation in just the morality of the story, right? And then if you do that, then when you pivot to the prequels, you're primed to notice all the bullshit in them, not in the flaws of them as movies, but you're primed to notice all of the social degradation. You're primed to notice all the political corruption. You're primed to notice how, and again, I think this is a bit of an accident on Lucas's part, but you're primed to notice how the Jedi Order are really fucked up in key ways that compromise them. One of the things I hate in episode 1 is how, and this is what I was going to get into earlier, right? Episode 1, and I need to emphasize this, okay? Agents of the state, who are there covertly, but they are still agents of the state, are assaulted and murdered by a corporate entity. And then get back to the Senate to report on it, and they don't. That scene where Padme goes before the Senate and is such a wasted opportunity. It is. I think it's probably my number 2 change I would make in all of episode 1, because the first is just to make Anakin older, because him being a kid is just like insufferable. It's insufferable. But like Qui-Gon Jinn should be up there, and like you played it in 1,000 different ways, but Qui-Gon Jinn should be up there saying we were attacked by the Trade Federation, and they're denying it, and they wouldn't deny. And like there are things that don't make sense because it's not like they're hiding that they're blockading Naboo, because they're doing it as a protest, and you can't hiding a protest is pointless. Like it's like the Doomsday thing in Strangelove. Like you don't hide a protest, so they can't deny that they're occupying Naboo. But then you say they are attacking theoretically neutral arbitrators in the Jedi and the Guardian, and people who would presumably have a very prestigious position in they're murdering their pilots. Those guys get murdered in the opening scenes. And then if the body, the Senate body, right, protests that the Jedi are acting extrajudicially, which they technically are, which is a good idea, right? Then that prompts Padme to completely lose her shit, so to say. Yeah. That's where the vote of confidence comes in. That's where we begin, at least in movie terms, the tension between the Jedi and the Senate, right? Which again is the problem. It's the problem in the prequels, as far as I'm concerned.
The funny thing is, the opening crawl sort of pays lip service to this by saying that Valorum sent Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan secretly.
I know, but then you have to pay that forward. You have to pay that forward, right? Like I've heard people use that to defend why Qui-Gon Jinn doesn't testify, with Padme, and that is just garbage. That is complete. That is, as far as that is total garbage as an explanation.
I would agree with that. Secrecy has gone out the window at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if he refused,
why was it secret in the first place?
Well, see, that's okay.
The blockade has to be public.
Yes.
So how do you keep that secret?
That to me is okay, right? Like the idea that like the chancellor having to go behind, do it clandestinely because there is entrenched corruption is a good idea. That's actually a fine idea, right? But he should be sending them to suss out the situation. If they come back and they say, "Look, they're attacking us," then it's like, okay, well now the Trade Federation is actually attacking Republic envoys. There's no way they can get away with that. They can get away with blockading the planet somehow, but they can't get away with attacking Republic officials, which the Jedi are. But they do. Or if you really want to go the route Qui-Gon can't testify, then that should be Padme's complete disillusionment with the Jedi there.
Yeah, that should be a point of contention.
They
should have, like, if Qui-Gon is not going to testify, they need to have a scene where he tells Padme, "Yeah, I can't testify because secrecy." Yeah. And this is a point of contention between them.
Exactly. And that thing is, and I would be okay with even that, except for the fact that I think that would be wildly out of character for Qui-Gon Jinn. If there's one Jedi who would do that, it would be Qui-Gon. Who would break the rules and say what happened. Of course it would be Qui-Gon. That's in character for him. And
there's also another issue, and just like you were mentioning, they're attacking Republic officials.
Exactly. No, that's the thing.
That is an act of treason. That's cold-blooded murder. They have lost. Right.
I never even thought about that. The Trade Federation could actually use that as like ammunition. Like, I'm pretty sure they have fucking cameras on on their ships. I wouldn't say why not.
Apparently
they could
not.
From footage of their like droid, like them getting attacked and stuff. And they like frame it in a certain way.
They could. I mean, you could play this You could play this a bunch of different ways, right? Instead, the scene that we get, and I will give some credit here. There's even something to this, right? Well, the scene that we get is a scene where the bureaucracy of the Republic is so gummed up in legalese and procedure that Padme can't do anything in a timely fashion, right? And there is something to that, actually.
It's just that the execution is really bad.
It's really rough. It does not emphasize the right things, right? Because the Trade Federation insisting on Padme having proof and an investigation to determine the validity of her accusation is due process.
The problem is they have two witnesses that are.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? They have two witnesses.
A pair of Jedi.
Yeah. They have the best witnesses you could theoretically ask for, and they can't be done. They can't be used. Either they testify, and the corruption of the Senate reveals itself in this breach of protocol. That's what it technically would be, or breach of jurisdiction, right? Or they refuse to testify, and Padme, can't abide this. She can't abide this level of corruption, even from the Jedi. Right, and again, I think that would be out of character for Qui-Gon, right? Especially if we're establishing him as the rebel Jedi.
You know what? It could have solved that easily. You just not have Qui-Gon be there in that opening bit. You just have him join up later, and it's just Obi-Wan.
I quite like Qui-Gon conceptually, so I don't think that would really go. I could see other ways around the problem, right? Like you could have.
I was going to talk about something similar you're about to talk about, like have him go somewhere else, like where he's needed immediately, something urgent or something, something to keep him occupied.
Or actually, we can go even further. We can have the Jedi Council send him away to prevent him from testifying.
There's something there, right? That's a solid idea, right? You could even play it where they kind of have Dooku do it, which also, it plays forward into the scene in episode 3 where they have Obi-Wan tell Anakin to spy on the Chancellor. This is like a rhyming thing that Lucas likes and actually good. So then Dooku feels very complicit in the action that gets Qui-Gon Jinn killed. and that fuels his guilt and animus against the order, right? It's something.
Yeah, it's just a lot of simple fixes that George didn't think about because George didn't have anybody proofreading or correcting his work.
I don't think, I find it impossible to believe that he thought of the character of Count Dooku before he started writing episode 2. Which to me is insane.
Funny thing to go back to the whole trial scene, like the major issue that the way it's presented, nobody should have took fucking Padme seriously. Because she essentially just has a tantrum on the fucking trial or whatever you call it. On live TV, and she wins somehow.
Sorry, go for it.
And I'm like, if this is the rule we set up in universe, the way it happens on screen, like anybody can do that. They can just like claim something, and then the next chancellor just gets booted off somehow. Like, oh, okay, cool.
No, exactly. Like you could, like even Chancellor Valorum's, you could play it. You can play it in tons of different ways. Like Chancellor Valorum's vote of confidence doesn't have to come from Padme necessarily, right? It can come from someone who's mad at him that he sent the Jedi without their approval, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have, Padme, accidentally getting Valorum overthrown.
Of course, what I'm talking about is what actually happened in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, all the things we were talking about are like better ways of handling it. I'm just talking about how it's presented in the film as it is now.
Oh, yeah.
That's like I'm talking about. I'm like the president they set up in the movies. It's like it's fundamentally broken on certain levels because, like you said, because even on my notes, I also wrote down like due process. They get mad. She gets mad at due process. Therefore, Valorum's corrupt or something, or incompetent. I'm like, okay, cool.
And if he's so corrupt that if he's so compromised, right? Why does the vote of no confidence work? I mean, why is he in power if he's not supported by vast swathes of the corrupt republic? Why would they vote him out to put in? I mean, okay, we kind of know why Palpatine was put in because they believe that he was so weak that they would be able to corrupt him as well. But still, like, why do that? Why trade a known commodity for an unknown commodity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's keep going, shall we?
Oh, we forgot about the video.
Also, why would they vote for Palpatine? He's the senator. Palpatine's the senator of Naboo. Massive conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very good. Honestly, like us talking about the movie is much more interesting than this guy talking about the movie.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a gateway to discussion, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Corrupt political establishment called the
It's
Jedi Order.
Would say it's a pathway
which,
to many
remember,
possibilities.
Qui-Gon
Some
Jinn
would
was
consider to
deeply
be
skeptical of.
natural.
Look, maybe you don't think it's that.
Hold on, go back to back.
We need to go back. Yeah.
Establishment called the Jedi Order, which, remember, Qui-Gon Jinn was deeply skeptical of. Look, maybe you don't think it's that important to have a father, real or mythological.
Okay, can we stop?
I think all that George Lucas.
Who thinks that? Who in the right mind ever thinks that? I'm pretty sure, like the vast majority of people who watch this video, though. What's he getting at?
One of the weirdest things about the conception of the Jedi from Lucas, and I'm not 100% sure that he intends for all the Jedi critical things in the prequels to be there. But like, can we appreciate from how completely inept Jedi would be if they were actually separated from their parents at infancy? Would be.
Yeah,
it's a very strange rule and one that really needed an explanation.
It's
which
the idea
the EU does provide, but the movies do not.
Even in the EU, I think it's horrendous. Like it's like because it's meant to like stop attachments and shit, but like Anakin at 9 years old is like the perfect age for that because he's socially developed enough that he can be functional without his parents, but he's not so molded that he's still flexible enough to be raised away from them, so to say. Right? Like 9 years old is the perfect age for that kind of thing in a child.
The funny thing is about this whole attachments thing is like that is somewhat fundamentally broken because it's like you can get attached even with this whole Jedi training thing because that's not like how people work and people try to make the defense that's the point. I'm like, no. That's not how the movies present the things like that.
Exactly. Like if they don't attach to if the whole point is that they don't attach to their parents, right? If the Jedi mentors, their masters, right, raise them correctly, which presumably they do because they are not, autists, right? No offense.
And
yeah, they're not. Then the attachment that they would form to their parents, they would form under their Jedi masters, and that's not what you want anyway.
No, actually, I was actually about to talk about that. The movies bring credence to break their whole argument because Obi-Wan is clearly attached to Qui-Gon, and Yoda is quite attached to certain people in these movies. So rip.
Yeah,
it also rip that argument.
Obi-Wan at the end of the Phantom Menace, he says, "I will honor Qui-Gon's wishes, and I will train Anakin with or without council approval." So,
yeah, Obi-Wan at
he was
the end
clearly attached to Qui-Gon. And also,
like my brother
what I
Anakin.
wanted to mention was that Qui-Gon supposedly disapproved of the Jedi Order, in this guy's words. Obi-Wan mentions once, "Don't defy the Council Master, not again," and Qui-Gon says, "I shall do what I must." That's about as high as we get in terms of disobeying the Jedi.
Well, I think that's
disapproving of the Jedi Order, rather.
I think some of that's just economy of the movie. Like I do think we're meant to see that Qui-Gon is on the outs and that he's a bit of a rebel. Like I actually do agree with that interpretation of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, I would agree that Qui-Gon is a mentor. It's just that Phantom Menace really suffers from having no focus at all.
Yes.
And is throwing way too much stuff at the screen. That's a major problem with the movie. There's no focus.
Honestly, I've always been an advocate for why didn't George just make more movies? Because remember in the first movie, Episode 4, it wasn't even named Episode 4. He resurrected, changed that later, a year later after the movie's release or something. And why couldn't he do that again? Just make a 6-film trilogy about the prequels leading up to the events of the OT or something, or 5 or 4. Give yourself some more room to breathe if you want to cover so much.
Yeah. I also think that it's worth pointing out that and this is something I really noticed last time I watched The Phantom Menace, which was a while ago maybe, but if you watch the movie, right, and you pay attention, the plot through line is actually pretty tight up until they get really. I'm being serious about this, right? If you actually watch it, right, up until they hit Tatooine, the plot through line is really they got to get Padme back to Coruscant so she can testify, and then after they deal with Tatooine, the plot is about they have to they're dealing with Padme.
You're roboting really hard. You're roboting really hard.
No, he's not.
No, he isn't.
I think
Not on my end, at least.
You might be having your brother might be having a fucking heart attack.
Okay.
Oh yes, because I have quite a bit to say about the fucking Tatooine plotline. I have had many debates about.
My point here is, and I can go on Tatooine in a lot of ways, but my point here is that, if Tatooine is almost pure filler in that sense. It's so the actual again, if you chopped it out, right, the plot would actually really be. I'm not saying it'd be great because we just criticize it like crazy, but it would cohere really. It's a really tight. It has really tight coherence, right? Padme has to get to Coruscant to testify to save her people, and she can't because the Senate is corrupt. That flows right through.
Sorry, I gotta go. I'll see you later.
Okay, sorry. We couldn't
see
kids. Bye.
Honestly, you can restructure the Phantom Menace where you make Anakin just some a low life kid on Naboo or something, and just skip out cut out Tatooine entirely.
There's
hell, you could have Anakin already be a Padawan under somebody.
Maybe.
Just what do we gain as it is presented for it being the way it is? What do we gain overall? What do we need from Phantom Menace for the rest of the story?
Well, that's the thing. Right? That's my big problem with Phantom Menace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything in it resolves itself so that it can't really play forward. Like you can say, like, oh, I've heard, people defend, like, oh, well, there's his mom, and oh, there is the corruption of the Republic. Yeah, okay, but like
most of that can just be like that could be integrated into a different film.
Honestly,
Funnily enough, I think you can basically combine episodes, like cut the fluff and restructure the story, or put some characters there and some characters here, and you could basically make episode 1 and episode 2 into a single movie, and that's where the Clone Wars starts.
Yeah, I mean, this should be that was my point way earlier, right? Like how bad this is actually politically for the Trade Federation to be doing this. Should be the inciting incident. We shouldn't need a battle of Geonosis. This is it. This is the moment where the Republic loses all legitimacy, all claim to any kind of authority.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I just remember. Go on. Sorry.
They should have started. It should have started way earlier. They should have started a war against the Trade Federation, just because this is not okay. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You do not have the right to do this.
Yeah, this is a disaster. And if they don't, then the Separatists should be people like Padme who are sick of this crap.
They should be saying, like, no, we should have much higher executive powers, a very strong military, and absolutely no BS about this.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, kind of going off on a side tangent. I'm just remembering some of my notes from episode 1, and I'm just like, considering episode 2, why does the Trade Federation even caring about getting a peace treaty signed at all? Considering we know that the Republic can't do bugger all to them.
Okay, so I'm going to defend that actually for a second, right? Mm-hmm. That speaks to why Palpatine doesn't just side with the Trade Federation outright, because they're as much trapped in the decadent mindset as the rest of the senators, right? They're not a military power. The Trade Federation are jokes, and I think that it sucks because it means they're not effective. They have no tension as antagonists, but they're punks. They're jokes. They're not suited for Palpatine's military dictatorship. They think this is the interesting thing. This is an actually interesting thing in episode 1, right? The good guys, the nominal good guys, the senators on Naboo, the Republic, right, and the bad guys, the nominal bad guys, the Trade Federation, think the same. They're like, oh well, there's a scene on Naboo where they're like, they can't invade us. That's illegal. And then you have the Trade Federation guys like, can we invade them? That's illegal. We'll get a treaty to make it illegal. That's actually a good thing narratively, right? That they're both trapped in this. I guess the word would be decadent mindset, right? This very legally bureaucratic mindset. So forgive me for kind of. I don't mean to just shut down your point. But
yeah, we've kind of gone on a huge tangent from the video.
Yes, this is more interesting in a lot of ways.
Yeah, this is more interesting to be fair.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Lucas is pointing out in these prequel films is that without strong mentorship, without a wise teacher who loves and understands us and who nurtures a rebellious spirit,
okay, that actually sounds a lot better than what I put him at 1.5.
Yeah, always be a gap where insidious influences can creep in. Thus, you can see episode 1 as a film about mentorship. It claims good mentorship is a symbiosis.
You and the Naboo form a symbiote circle.
Symbionts.
And bad mentorship is like slavery.
Yes, my master.
Full of covert and overt manipulation. It suggests that mentorship is not unlike fatherhood. It requires
this is not an incoherent point. It's just not well evidenced in the film.
Yeah, that's what makes it incoherent for me.
Yeah, it's
how much of the mentors that he lists are Qui-Gon and Palpatine and Watto, I guess. Was it how much mentoring is involved in their story?
Yeah, look, we hardly know anything about the relationship between Watto and Anakin. It's almost like mutual, from what I get.
Yeah, or at least just Watto just gets free labor, and it's not a bad life that Anakin has.
Not the way it's portrayed, no, because he lets Anakin go early and stuff. He's like happy and giddy and shit.
He lets him risk his life in sports, like
yeah,
like come on, like.
Yeah, and also Qui-Gon is perfectly fine with risking the life of a small child.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
5 of the year, ladies and gentlemen.
While also suggesting that good mentors reward their mentees and love them.
You should be very proud of your son. He gives without any thought of reward.
And are loved in return. It suggests mentorship, like fatherhood, is really hard, and some people fall into it before they're ready. And like fatherhood, it's a huge responsibility that can shape a person and thus shape the universe. It suggests that we all rebel against our fathers. And if your father is himself a rebel, like Qui-Gon Jinn, then maybe you'll become a loyalist, like Obi-Wan. And if you're
Hold on. You're about to hear something. Just rewind it and just let the whole point fill out.
And your father is himself a rebel, shape the universe. It suggests that we all rebel against our fathers. And if your father is himself a rebel, like Qui-Gon Jinn, then maybe you'll become a loyalist, like Obi-Wan. And if your mentor is a loyalist, like Obi-Wan, then maybe you'll become an imperialist, like Darth Vader. So let's think about how.
I'm sorry. That
is shallow.
That is dumb.
That is shallow as crap.
That's kind of cringy.
Yeah,
that's cringy.
But
like in order for
this was something that I wanted to point out earlier. In episode 5, it's very clearly implied that Obi-Wan was a rebel when he was younger, but in the Phantom Menace, he's decisively not, and there's no indication that he ever was.
Yeah. He asked, was I any different when you trained me? And it's like, George, you don't make sense.
Anyway,
go back to
a very dumb point.
Yeah.
He's a very willful boy. He is willing to openly disobey his mother while breaking Watto's rules behind his back in order to do what's right, to help those he loves. Right away, he disobeys rules in order to follow his heart. His mother hates it, but Qui-Gon Jinn loves
Thanks for
Anakin.
telling me what happened.
He sees the spark in him. He respects him. And Anakin returns that respect with obedience. Or he tries to, at least. In the climax of episode 1, Anakin does his best to be obedient to Qui-Gon.
Go back? Qui-Gon told me to stay in this cockpit, so that's what I'm going to do.
Anakin, who begins rebellious, consciously wants to...
Like, come on.
What?
Like he's not staying in the cockpit because he's obedient. Like, like that can't be a serious point. That can't be a serious point. That's ridiculous. Like, come on. Like, he's staying in the cockpit. Like, obviously, Qui-Gon wants him to stay in the cockpit so he can stay safe, not so he can fly into battle. Like, come on. Like, he's not being like that. Can't be construed as being obedient to Qui-Gon as mentor to mentor. It's just it is. You could say, if you had any sense, that it is being true. It is being true to the heroic spirit that Qui-Gon embodies. Right, Anakin is trying to do his best to be a hero in the situation, which is a little ridiculous for a 9-year-old kid, but we're not going to get into that. Okay, that coheres. That coheres. He's trying to be like Qui-Gon in a sense by trying to save the day, but not. He's not obeying him. He's not obeying him. That's ridiculous.
Just having good sense and not being stupid.
He hits the wrong button and then it gets sent to autopilot out because he was trying to help him shoot the droid and then kind of the ship goes on autopilot and flies out. Oh, my dog's sleep barking right now. It's funny.
Oh.
Anyways,
obey. He
I can't wait to
obeys,
get the
but
pad
as if
bit.
by a technicality or a loophole, he disobeys at the same time. He's literally on autopilot when he rebels.
We gotta do something, R2.
Anakin's autopilot is following his instincts, following his heart. In a sense, this is a reversal of Luke's arc in Episode 4. Luke turning off the targeting computer represents him turning off his conscious mind and becoming intuitive. When Anakin turns off the autopilot, by contrast,
Get us off this autopilot. It's gonna get us both killed.
he's trying to rely on his conscious mind to be less bumbling, instinctual, to think and not to feel. He has to fight to become conscious, and yet
this is
become more conscious and less bumbling that he accidentally saves the day, just like Jar Jar.
The parallel just sort of falls apart.
I didn't hate that point, but it didn't. It does. I don't think it comes across as strong as he thinks it does.
I just
because. I mean, the more apparent, the more obvious point to be made in this parallel is that this is like the vague anti-tech shtick that kind of like you can find in Star Wars, right? He's more machine than man. Don't trust the computer, so to say, right? And he is correct that yes.
Don't let the physical, or even if it's a convenience, come at the expense of the spiritual.
Yeah. Like, and it's interesting that even bad guys get into this, right? Like, don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed, right? So that's there. That's a coherent point. It is interesting that in Luke's case, I think gonna give this guy full credit here. I think he's completely correct. In Luke's case, it is him relying on intuition, whereas in Anakin's case, it is giving more power to his faculties, so to say. I think that's actually pretty okay. It's a diametric, it's the same principle shown two different ways, and I think that's actually a good point on his part. You gotta give people credit where it's due. That way, the criticisms hit harder, all the same.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Overall, I just don't see the point.
He has to fight to become conscious, and yet, ironically, it's through this effort to become more conscious and less bumbling that he accidentally saves the day, just like Jar Jar, whose clumsiness becomes a boon for him.
That happens.
Anakin's own clumsiness
Is this
is
how
his
this
road
is
to
going?
victory.
Now this is pod racing.
In Attack of the Clones, Anakin and Obi-Wan work well together when they're buddies, brothers, equals. They clash whenever Obi-Wan attempts to assert dominance. Obi-Wan has not earned Anakin's respect, as Qui-Gon did, and thus the ground is fertile for his disobedience. Anakin is told that his great superpower, his heart, is a weakness. He's told not to listen to his emotions. He's told to obey. Just as Empire Strikes Back was the antithesis of A New Hope, Attack of the Clones is the antithesis of The Phantom Menace. However, the prequel trilogy as a whole is the antithesis to the original trilogy. Thus, Attack of the Clones is a sort of reversal of a reversal. It's a very topsy-turvy movie where everything gets confused. Anakin's disobedience begins in earnest in this film when faced with the choice to either follow his heart and save his mother, or obey his commands and stay with Padme.
I know I'm disobeying my man.
What?
I would ask him to go into detail. Like, I don't know what he means by any of that.
I think he's reaching again, but maybe just give him a moment, let it play through. Hold on, because he's trying to make the point. He's trying to make the point after he states the thesis, right? That's how you do things sometimes.
Yeah.
Mandate to protect you, Senator. But I have to go. I have to help her.
I'll go with you.
He finds a loophole and manages to do both at the same time. But once he gives an inch, he can't help but take a mile. Acting on autopilot, he butchers an entire village of Tusken Raiders. And please do not use the racial slur Sand People. They're called Tusken Raiders.
Are you kidding me?
Sand People. Anyone ever claimed
Sand People.
as bad acting in it, or that Hayden Christensen is
I'm sorry. Like, this is like I want to believe he was being sarcastic there, but Tusken Raiders is the appellation provided by it's the xenonym, right? It's the thing that outsiders give them. Like Tusken Raider is the outsider name, not Sand People. Christ. Ugh, I'm sorry.
This is just
anything but an amazing actor.
What's wrong, Andy?
Show them this scene.
This is not well acted, by the way.
No, it's not.
I killed them.
Also, he should not be having this conversation with Padme.
Every single one of them.
Oh, I can't wait. This is the best part. So what he's going to say is...
Here's the thing. This conversation is very like irritating for me because it should be two conversations. The first part about how he's good at fixing things, but he couldn't fix this. Okay, that makes sense for him to talk about.
Yes.
Going on a rant about how he committed mass murder to his essential, not pacifist exactly, but very much peace promoting friend over here. Yeah, that should not be the case. This should be a conversation he has with Palpatine.
Mostly my issue relies on what Padme's fucking reaction, not Anakin's.
She is not.
Yeah, her reaction is insane.
Like a fucking Skyrim NPC. That's what I called it.
Just Skyrim NPC.
It's human to feel emotions. I forgot the exact line. It's only human to be angry. To be human.
I think it's to be angry is to be human, which is something that
NPC dialogue.
It's not somebody would react. It's not something that any rational or reasonable person would say to. They're somebody who has expressed in very clear terms that they are romantically interested in you. That would freak them out.
And maybe that would happen, and then she'll just get on the next train out of here or the next ship out.
She'd be like, okay. And then she marries.
Yeah, and probably
so weird.
I can't wait to hear. He has the explanation. He has an explanation for that, by the way, and I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
yeah. Wait. Let's go.
This whole mass murder conversation, he should have hid it from her, gotten on a ship later, and had like a hollow convo with Palpatine, and then he could say something like, "To be angry is to be human. Don't deny your feelings. They're what make you special. Is only natural, whatever."
Yeah, maybe. Anyways, let's keep going. I can't wait for this response at this point. Your response.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
And the children, too.
They're like animals. And I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
Imagine asking an actor to grieve for their dead mother, while also sublimating that grief into a hatred directed at a racial other, while also turning that hatred into a performance that is designed to elicit sympathy and love from someone you're pining for. That is a very hard cocktail of emotions.
This makes no sense.
A lot
I mean,
and hate.
Whoa, hold on a second, because what he just said there. All right, look, I am more generous to this scene than you guys are, although I don't love it in some ways. However, I think what he just said there, he was trying to praise Anakin Christian, but what he just said there was that Anakin was using his grief to emotionally manipulate Padme. Like that's what he just said.
Like I think the good faith interpretation is that Hayden Christensen need to portray this anger in a way that would elicit sympathy, not so much that.
That's fair. That is what I hope he was trying to say. Yes, and I don't think he does a horrendous job here. Like I
it's not Hayden.
Tough scene.
It's not Hayden. It's mostly a George thing, I would say.
Oh,
yeah. Because I think there are movies where he was pretty good at acting.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that like this.
Can any of you think of? I can't think of one off the top of my head, but can you guys think of a story where an actor has to communicate grief over a loss as well as anger at their inability to stop it in a way that is sympathetic to the audience?
Jamie?
I would think Jamie Lannister is actually a very good example.
Well, I mean, if we're just talking about anger being portrayed in a compelling and sympathetic way, I mean that's
I mean, like anger that is derived from sorrow and the inability to stop.
Well, I think that this is a bit. I think this is. I'm going to give you an example that I think is a little different than what you're describing. But like, I think of, just off the top of my head, I think of Raging Bull, actually. Particularly that scene near the end where he's sent to jail. Maybe you don't know this, but there's a scene where he's at the end of the movie where he's sent to jail, and he for a legitimately bad thing that he did. And at this point, he has probably lost a lot of audience sympathy, and he's, the acting is such that, there's Robert De Niro, and it is. I think it's a compelling scene. I don't know if you know the scene I'm talking about, but he basically, long story short,
at this point, he has alienated. He has alienated his entire family. He has become a wastrel. He's a boxer, right? And he's become a wastrel after his boxing career is over, and he's arrested for allowing underage girls into his bar. Okay, and the police arrest him, and he is dragged, kicking and screaming, into the jail cell, and he's left alone in the jail cell to rot by the cops, and he's completely having a fit. And it is a scene where, as bad as a person as this guy has been, and as deserved as this is, I would argue that the rage is so compelling that you can't help but feel for him in that moment. I recommend Raging Bull to anyone. I think it's a very good movie.
I put that in there.
For me personally, I think, like I said earlier, it's more of a Padme thing than an Anakin thing.
I agree with that. Her reaction is way too muted for what this is. Like, this is
it's pretty insane how she just accepts this and marries him like 2 days later.
Like, yeah, she should be like terrified of this guy. Like,
yeah. She should.
And like,
she should be
again,
like,
it comes back, and it comes back even worse in Revenge of the Sith when she's like, "Oh no, not Anakin! He could never kill children."
Yeah, not.
He's a good person, Obi-Wan. You know he is.
No, he's not.
So let's continue this because he hasn't gotten to the insane part yet.
This is a very small thing.
Hold on.
This is a very small thing, I know, but people have argued that Padme wouldn't care about the Sand People because, like, they're considered savages, and that's how they've been characterized to her. I don't buy this.
That's insane. That is mad. That is some far-reaching headcanon.
That's nonsense. Anakin is busted up about what he did to them. He cares. So like, come on, come on. Like that point's not like Anakin is bothered by what he did.
I just wanted to point out that point exists, but it's BS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With keep this going. I can't wait. The best part's coming up.
To play.
Oh, boy.
George asked a lot of Hayden, and Hayden delivered. This is a jaw-dropping performance. One thing I often hear about Attack of the Clones is that the love story between Anakin and Padme doesn't really make sense. I mean, Anakin's kind of a pathetic simp, and Padme's this, badass politician lady. Why would she fall for him?
All good point.
Good question. Very good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question too.
I mean, badass politician lady is a very weird.
I'm sorry. When? Sir, are you okay? Can you please point to me where she was a badass politician? I don't remember that part. Was this like the super special edition I've never seen? I want that one.
In theory, she's a badass politician lady. She isn't really, but in theory, they want us to think
paper she is.
Why did she like him? Why does she like him? Please tell us. Why should she possibly like him?
Oh, he tells us. He tells us in this video, and this is the part I'm waiting for.
No.
Two answers for that. One is in this scene, you can see it happen. The moment that Padme falls for him is the moment that she realizes the depth of his emotion. When Padme realizes that.
What?
This is not the worst part. Keep going.
Let him finish. Let's get to this part because I'm actually really curious now. Like
Anakin is willing to butcher a village of people. She's wondering what he's willing to do for her. She sees the intensity, and she's scared and enthralled by it.
Bro.
Is this
Bro.
Okay.
I mean, wait a. Is this
why-
base that women are like, turned on by men being violent? Like,
So, like,
okay.
I
Where do
have
we even
multiple
begin?
That's a jump.
questions. I have multiple questions. Multiple questions. What are you trying to say? Is that she's secretly evil or something?
This is why I wanted to show this to you guys.
I mean, this is like
Wow.
This is like women are
Beyond
only
reaching.
impressed by the thematic characteristics of men. This is like ridiculous. Like, oh my god, this is like really like this isn't base. This is base. This is
It's below base. He took a jackhammer to the ground and started fucking grounding it up and just went further down.
no. This is like what am I supposed to take from this? That Padme is such an amoral person that she is captivated solely by Anakin's like I guess the word would be thumos, his
Think about it. If that was the case, she'd be like fucking super turned on by the fucking events of Episode 3. Like, oh my god.
That's the thing. Like the whole point. Like, I don't want to not to get too into this, right? But the whole point, like, of a woman's virtue rate, so to say, is that it filters out bad traits in men, right? That's a part of the reason socially we deal with this thing. And Padme, like a woman, like I'm just gonna say this: a woman liking someone who is grossly immoral is a fault in her, completely. Like she shouldn't be turned on by this.
It's a fault in anybody.
Obviously it's a fault in anybody. What I mean is that him like trying to say this is like saying that like this is ridiculous. Like this is a bad take.
But
this is like
completely bases as well.
Like this whole stereotype that women like bad boys or whatever, like people who sleep around, go to the gym every day, muscle bros who are essentially just assholes to everybody.
That's
it's a stereotype. It's not actually true. Like
it comes from the idea that women might be attracted to men who are willing to be daring. Like it's an attraction to what the Greeks might call thumos, right?
Yeah,
but the point
there are certain traits that people find attractive, like risk taking, or
exactly right.
Which you can say is derived from courage.
Exactly right.
Foolhardiness or cruelty or immorality is not attractive.
Exactly right. The idea here is that a woman, what it means again, not saying of a suitably virtuous, just in terms of mating English, right? A suitably virtuous. What it means for a woman to be suitably virtuous is that they are able to discern what is actual what we might call enterprisingness, right? Actual risk taking and that kind of stuff, as opposed to like gross immorality and bullying, right? That's what it means for anyone, but in this sort of male-female dynamic, for a woman to be, for someone looking at a mate, right? That's what they should be. That's what they're supposed to be able to do. She should not be attracted to him being a murderer. And more importantly, he is ashamed of it. He is ashamed of it. No woman is attracted to things that men are ashamed of. Like that's not how that works. Or rather, a man is not attractive when he is being ashamed.
Look at it this way: it's a whole stereotype in pop culture that jock bullies always get the girls. In real life, going by like evolutionary psychology and the psychological processes behind finding a mate. I'm saying this like humans are animals, which we are. Like, if the stereotypical jock bully has a girlfriend, then that person is most likely either A, unaware that the person is a bully, or B, is a bully herself.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's an immoral, like a woman who cannot discern the morality of a potential mate is herself unqualified to make that judgment.
There's
and
also
the same applies to men, by the way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this can
evaluate
reverse this. Yeah.
Yeah, another element is she is shown to be fairly compassionate and good through the other things. And for him to say that she is a bad person by implying that she is turned on / likes the idea of having a monster at her beck and call makes her on the same level of morality with Tywin Lannister.
I don't think Tywin wants to fuck Gregor, man.
Well, I am aware, but he's saying what he.
Yeah,
what
I
he'd be
know.
willing to
I
do
had
for
to just
me.
make that dig. I completely agree. I completely understand what you're getting at.
Yeah, because it's just like, so essentially what you're saying is she is saying, "Oh, I can use this monster for my own selfish ends. Great." It's
And he's like the whole attracting thing is more like an Aries type of thing.
Like he is. Okay, I will again. Let's be fair, right? He is very close to making an actual good point, right? Because he is saying, right, his passion in this moment is there's something compelling about his passion in this moment, right? Again, like he uses the term depth of his feeling. That's fair. That is a fair point. It does not justify. This cannot be the reason she is with him. This cannot be the reason she is with him. It has to be something more than just this.
Like if there's a physical attraction, which I can buy, it should really be nullified by the fact that he committed mass murder and is admitting to it.
Yeah. Again, like he's not even proud of it, right? Which is good. Like that's again part of what makes the scene, it's illogical, right? He himself, like if he was like proud of what he did, right? Then you can actually follow that. Like it would make her a horrific person, but you can actually follow the logic through because she's turned on by what a like giga chat he is about his feelings, right? He is proud of the things he did, right? That tracks logically, but he's ashamed in this scene. Like that's I'm sorry, that's like a huge turnoff a lot of the time.
Yeah, there's also like
if this was
kind
about...
of better if she was kind of like a Harley Quinn type where she's turned on by evil. That might actually be cooler.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of character. That's a character that's a perfect example, right, of that kind of dynamic, right? Like Harley Quinn is turned on by the fact that the Joker one of the things is he's turned on by how shameless he is about what he does, right? That's what makes her a bad person, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this was like if they had some sort of conversation beforehand, like before they left for Tatooine, where Anakin showed that he was very committed to his mother's safety and he was passionate about protecting her to the point that he would go outside the mission that he was assigned. And that was something that she found charming. Okay, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Not post mass murder.
Yeah, kind of the idea that he's got a strong protective instinct. Like that's actually very attractive to women, as far as I am aware, just based on psychology.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
I'm pretty sure it's attractive in general because, like, there's a whole biological, psychological process associated with how we judge a potential spouse, partner, whatever. And it's sort of associated with what exactly works best for the community. Because way back, people came together, and well, I say people, this was before humans existed, but individuals of various species came together and they understood instinctually that the community is stronger than the individual. And this is at least my perspective on it. This is where morality comes from. What exactly benefits the community? And you can see this in basically every story ever, that characters who are unambiguously heroic are people who work for the community over their own interests. Or sometimes the interests of the community may align with their own interests, but if they choose their own interests over the community, they are generally considered the bad guys. And this sort of informs how we choose our partner. Like, infidelity, for example, is considered immoral in most situations. And there are certain things that make a partner more desirable. The ability to commit mass murder is not one of them.
Yeah.
Because if your partner is able to commit mass murder and willing to commit mass murder, then that's a threat to your safety, because that person is clearly not stable and is dangerous to people around him, including yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, you're just wrong, bigot.
The second explanation is that there's something going on in the background here, which is that dark forces are manipulating Padme, and I believe that this is...
By the way, this scene, by the way, like people dunk on I don't like sand. This scene is worse.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the scene. I think it's a much weaker scene. So taking agency away from your characters is usually not a good thing. I do not like this point. This point that I know that he's making about how there's like supposedly she's being manipulated by like the dark side. Either he's like subtly manipulating her, or
that's dumb,
or it's Palpatine or whatever like that. These takes are never that interesting.
Yeah. I also like how it's like, darker influences and like sexual influences.
Yeah, it's kind of, why do you feel the need to do this? It doesn't make any sense for her character. She's actually a fairly strong-willed person. Why are you ruining her character?
In the first movie, you could argue she's a strong-willed character, and maybe even in the second one, but not in the third one.
Yeah, not in 3. 3, she is completely lost all edge.
Well, forgive me, I have to get going.
Okay.
So hope you guys enjoy in air quotes the rest of this.
See you later.
And thank you for having me very much. Really.
Take care.
Ciao.
Have a good time.
Visually expressed by the costume she wears. This costume is also a great bit of visual foreshadowing, which I think explains why George Lucas designed it himself.
There's one costume that George designed himself.
There's a great moment when Padme falls off the helicopter thing, and Anakin shouts, "We have to go back." It takes Obi-Wan some serious effort to get the kid to chill out and listen to reason. This is the return of the repressed. Anakin's emotions, which the Jedi see as a problem and have been bottling up, grow and grow until Anakin has very little room left for his conscious mind, his senses, to take over. Since this is a reversal of a reversal, the conclusion to Anakin's arc in Attack of the Clones is identical to the conclusion.
Reversal of a
No.
reversal.
No,
Are we going with
that's
Rick Ward
not.
logic here?
Needs to detail this a little bit. He needs to flush it out a bit more.
Yeah, this really needs some elaboration.
Conclusion of Luke's arc in Empire Strikes Back. Both of them rush in without a plan. Both of them are led by instinct. Both of them lose a hand as a result. This is the first moment that Anakin's disobedience becomes direct and open.
We'll take them together.
Okay, can we stop
No, Anakin, no!
Unlike Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, who fought
Can we
Maul
stop here?
together for the most part, Obi-Wan and Anakin never fight Dooku together. Anakin and Obi-Wan can't get on the same page. Anakin can't even try to obey Obi-Wan as he tried to obey Qui-Gon. The difference between Luke and Anakin is that Anakin does not see error of his ways.
So he says that. So he said, what was it he said about instincts? Like, he said something like instincts.
The parallel.
Going with his instincts caused him to lose their hands. Wasn't the whole idea here that letting go of your conscious faculties was a good thing?
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing about this whole thing is just remembering the title of the video.
Yeah, it's kind of more illustrating that Anakin doesn't really have actions or have an arc. He just does things.
It's like there are sequences where his character Anakin has quite a lot to do, but for the most part, it's like you said in the description, Don. He goes in fits and starts.
The biggest problem, I've noticed, is that he doesn't really have he doesn't really change as a character. He has complete character shifts in between movies. That's where all this development goes. It seems is the time between movies, because he just changes character between every movie.
Yeah, this is a very big issue that I have with all three movies. Is that one, the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones take place way too far apart, and they skip over the Clone Wars between episodes 2 and 3, when really the entire trilogy should have been about that and how Anakin progresses from what he was at the beginning to what he is at the end.
Yeah, seeing his character develop and just see him change magically. Like, nothing in the movies themselves really forces him change as a character, really. The only thing I can think of is just the fight between Dooku at the end of episode 2 and 1 and beginning of 3. Is like, oh, I will work with Obi-Wan this time instead of running headlong into battle and getting just absolutely ass blasted.
Yeah, this is a very significant choice that he does make, which is killing Mace Windu to protect Palpatine, and then immediately deciding, yeah, I'm totally on your side now. Like, as someone who's read the Revenge of the Sith novelization and seen the rationale behind that, like, the decision itself I'm kind of willing to give a pass, but this is such a major shift in his character in the film, especially considering that he didn't actually have to kill Windu or hurt him in any meaningful way. He could have literally just blocked the lightsaber straight. And if it was accidental, that sort of just takes away his agency as a character.
Yeah.
Instead, he chooses to simply push his emotions further down into the shadows. Anakin is married to his flaw. There's no turning back. He is now fully disobedient, but keeps it a secret. At the beginning of episode 3, just like the beginning of episode 6, we learn how much Anakin has grown since the last film.
I say patience.
That is a very, very shallow comparison.
Yeah. I would strongly disagree, to be perfectly honest.
He has a slight change. I'll give him that.
It's a slight change that doesn't take.
Yeah.
Like, he is immediately
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he has that change. Like, I'm gonna take things more logically. I'm not gonna run headstrong into it. And the final battle, Anakin gets cut in half.
Also, another thing about it is when he goes up against Dooku, and kills him at the end, that's not saying patience. That is quite the opposite.
Yeah.
He is that is cold-blooded murder. There's no way around it. That's cold-blooded murder. He was already pretty dead, basically, but yeah.
By the way, I noticed a little bit ago, Raptor in the chat mentioned that Stockholm syndrome could also be another factor to being attracted to bad people, which is true. But I don't know any of. Like, I do know Padme's history in the EU at least, but as far as I'm aware, there is no reason to believe she would have Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like the thing about Stockholm syndrome, as far as I'm aware, is that like you're taught to normalize bad behavior, essentially. Or
how would she?
What? People. But yeah, I don't know anything about Padme that would indicate that would be the case with her.
If she had that, it would have to be something that would have to be shown more often. That's something you can just pull out of nowhere. Because even from the movie standpoint, they haven't seen each other in like 10 years, and they just barely met again, caught up again. There's that relationship hadn't really flowered to that point.
Like, well, I just remembered. Like, why is Anakin in love with Padme?
Horny.
Horny. Well, the thing is, like, they met once 10 years ago, if we're talking about Attack of the Clones, and she was basically like older sister / babysitter to him in that one scene where he gives her the necklace. Which, does that necklace ever come up again until the funeral in episode 3? Anyway, I don't think it does now.
I think just once in episode 3. Other than that, where he says, "I remember when I gave this to you," and she says,
"Yeah." So
try not to please don't change the subject. Was what she said.
Yeah, but yeah, why is Anakin so into Padme in Attack of the Clones? Like,
are we sure?
And don't give me this shit about how he's never talked to a girl before. The Jedi are not gendered. There are plenty of girl Jedi. We see several of them in the film, and me being the pedant that I am, I could probably name all of them.
See, there
are plenty of girls that Anakin would have interacted with much more regularly around his own age or older that he could have developed feelings for instead of Padme.
So this is where the whole creepy Anakin thing comes from, because like even in the movie, it states that he's been thinking about Padme ever since they left each other.
Yeah, that's an obsessive.
That is very, very strange.
He says that to a fucking Jar Jar when Padme leaves the room for the reunion.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't understand why Jar Jar doesn't bring that up at all. You would think that would be like a point of contention or something, you know. Hey, you know, Anakin's not. Something seems a bit off about him, Mokike.
Mokike.
Ukike.
It is a little weird that it's just like he just says that to Jar Jar. It's never mentioned again.
Yeah, kind of.
Like I don't fucking get it. And this is sort of where you could have pulled that necklace back. Like, she kept it as a memento of him, and like the fact that he fucking saved her planet 10 years ago.
It's kind of the equivalent of a kid liking his babysitter. You grow out of it.
Yeah.
And start noticing other kids that are your age.
Not Anakin. He is dead set on one for some reason.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Ironically, Anakin is the teacher here. He's the mentor.
Let's be fair. Stay you with him.
And he's literally becoming a father. And yet he's still treated as a child.
No,
he's treated as a child.
He's not the mentor. No. Obi-Wan calls him the hero, not the mentor.
So I have to let him play.
To be fair, in the eyes of the public, he is a hero, but that's not equivalent.
Yeah.
I have to fully hear him out before I make anything. Go ahead, play. 3.
One, except one person. Anakin is forced to choose between two mentors, and thus between the political and the spiritual.
Why are you asking this of me?
I thought you said Anakin was the mentor. Why did you say that again? Maybe I have to hear the whole point.
By the way, this whole thing. Oh, we're asking you to spy on the Chancellor part is so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's just why. Yeah.
It's like, just reframe it this way, okay? We suspect that someone in the Chancellor's inner circle may be the Sith Lord that Dooku told us about. Can you keep an eye on that for the sake of the Chancellor's safety? Like, we don't believe the Chancellor is safe. Therefore, we want you to work on this and keep an eye on the people around him.
We should try another approach. We have to be more subtle next time.
Then the spy drones.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that, though.
Epic.
Yeah, the plot-induced stupidity
John.
the plot-induced stupidity of the Jedi Council is through the roof in this movie. Well, all three movies, but especially this one.
It's almost over.
All right, let's keep going.
You know, I love. I mean, I'm pretty sure one of them got deleted, but I love that there are two scenes where
Anakin,
Mace
unlike
Windu
Luke,
says, "I
is not
sense
wise
a
enough
plot to
to
destroy
transcend
the
this either
Jedi."
or.
and it's
He
never
cannot
falls.
synthesize the two options.
I
And
can't.
as a result, he fails. At the midpoint of episode 6, Luke gains.
Yeah, we have to rewind it back. I can't hear what he's saying.
Why are you asking this of me? The Council is asking. Let me help you to know the subtleties of the Force.
A choice between the heart and the mind. Anakin, unlike Luke, is not wise enough to transcend this either or. He cannot synthesize the two options.
Stop!
As a result,
I need you to stop.
What?
Why is there a separation? Why is there a separation between the heart and the mind? Like, these were not separate things.
It's like Taserface's name. It's metaphorical.
Well, it's a dumb metaphor.
Yeah.
Well, it comes from George Lucas, so it must be true.
God, kill yourself, Count.
Well done. Well done. Well done, sir.
No.
You win.
Like this guy frames it as a choice between Anakin's emotional reaction versus what he logically believes is correct. But like,
no,
that is not what happens in the film. Also, Raptor on the whole most powerful being thing. The reason that they asked this of Anakin is because he's already close to Palpatine. And it's sort of leading out from Palpatine appointing him as his representative on the council.
And the idea that he's spying on Palpatine is really dumb. They wouldn't do that. It's not very intelligent. The morale death. That's a very hefty hit to morale. They would not risk that, especially since he's their star pupil, even though he doesn't really do anything extraordinary in the films.
Well, he kills Dooku, but I mean, the exact details are obscure, but.
Which is why I kind of just find it like And a very frustrating.
Like it's just a shame that we don't really have any conception of what the public perception of anything is in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fails. At the midpoint of episode 6, Luke gains self-awareness, and he knows what the right thing is. At the midpoint of episode 3, Anakin gains self-awareness,
What have I done?
and yet he still does what is wrong. He turns to the dark side because
this
Palpatine offered
is a very different type of self-awareness.
Yeah.
This is a Judas Iscariot coming to himself after his betrayal situation. It's very different. It's very, very different. That's a very bad comparison.
Like if you're going to compare this moment in Revenge of the Sith to anything, it should be that it's a reversal of Luke's decision to spare Vader in Episode 6. But that's not the comparison being made.
Yeah.
for him the one thing he wants.
Know the power of the dark side. Power to save back.
Love, family. He doesn't join the dark side for political reasons. He joins the dark side for emotional reasons. Unlike Luke in episode 6, Anakin does not find balance. But like Luke, Anakin does rebel against his mentors and against his own path of least resistance. Anakin's arc shows us how rebellion is not a good thing in and of itself. That sometimes disobedience can't have monstrous consequences. Ironically, of course, Anakin's total embrace of his emotions, of sentimentality, eventually leads him to a complete dearth of any desire, of any emotion.
He's more machine now than man. Twisted and evil.
The moment when Anakin turns to the dark side, I believe it, because we've had 2.5 films leading up to this moment showing us how easily Anakin can be swayed by emotion.
Not really.
How much he wants.
Let's dissect that a little bit. Yeah.
This is why I say that Anakin flips way too quickly in episode 3.
Yeah, it's it's really frustrating to see this kind of argumentation.
Like, the funny thing is, like, in his last scene with Obi-Wan, before Obi-Wan goes to Utapau, the whole conceit of the conversation is, I'm not the Jedi that I should be. Like, I haven't been loyal to your teachings. I'm sorry. And Obi-Wan sort of reassures him, you are strong and wise, Anakin, and I am very proud of you. What exactly is the transition from that to I will murder a bunch of kids in cold blood?
Yeah.
There isn't really.
So let's go back and see all of his supporting scenes again.
To disobey. In the end, Luke succeeds where his father failed, but paradoxically, it's Anakin's failure which laid the groundwork for his greater victory. Anakin.
Okay, that's fair.
Because Palpatine offers him the one thing he wants.
Know the power of the dark side. Power to save back.
Love, family. He doesn't join the dark side for political reasons. He joins the dark side for emotional reasons. Unlike Luke in episode 6, Anakin does not find balance. But like Luke, Anakin does rebel against his mentors and against his own path of least resistance. Anakin's arc shows us how rebellion is not a good thing in and of itself. That sometimes disobedience can't have monstrous consequences. Ironically, of course, Anakin's total embrace of his emotions, of sentimentality, eventually leads him to a complete dearth of any desire, of any emotion.
He's more machine now than man. Twisted and evil.
The moment when Anakin turns to the dark side, I believe it, because we've had 2.5 films leading up to this moment showing us how easily Anakin can be swayed by emotion, showing us how much he wants to disobey. In the end, Luke succeeds where his father failed, but paradoxically, it's Anakin's failure which laid the groundwork for his greater
Actually, the funny thing about that,
the
because
dark side comes up.
The funny thing about Luke's character development. Sorry?
No, I was just pointing out that this is word salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But the funny thing about Luke's art in the entirety of the OT is that he finds a way past the Jedi Code exactly. He finds a new way. He kind of goes against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the thing is the morality, like regardless of like the political or the social circumstances or whatever the fuck is placed in the world, the morality of Star Wars is pretty clear cut.
Yeah,
the thing about Luke going off to Bespin to fight Vader in Episode 5 is that he lets his emotions cloud. I'm going to use the Jedi term. He's letting his emotions cloud his judgment. He's acting irrationally to save the people that he is attached to. And this leads to him putting himself in danger that it's like because of his irrational reaction, he takes a risk that could have undermined everything that his friends had worked for, which is exactly what Obi-Wan, which is exactly what Yoda warned him about. Luke goes against the teachings of Yoda, like he is the aggressor in the fight with Vader. And he's punished for it because he loses the fight and his arm. And without the intervention of his friends, he would have almost certainly died on that weird cross pillar or whatever. But it is, at the same time, it is his attachment to Vader that ends up saving both Vader and Luke and the galaxy. Which you could say is a contradiction, but it's not really, because it's essentially Luke coming to terms with his own morality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Anakin, not so much. The funny thing is that, as far as I can tell, there isn't actually a lot of parallel between Anakin and Luke.
Partially it's because Anakin is very poorly defined.
At least not as at least not as presented in the film.
Yeah, it did not need to be 23 minutes long. Yeah, it could be much longer.
Yeah, I don't to like actually get an understanding of his morality. Like he needs to like go into that a bit more. Honestly, this guy's just making a whole bunch of statements and I just don't care for it.
Like the basic morality of Star Wars is that there is the Force, which is created by all living things,
and that's good. Fundamentally good.
In its natural state, it just exists. It is not a vessel for power or anything. The good individual is one who acts selflessly, and the evil individual is the one that acts selfishly, as in the Sith. Wow, I need to formulate this better. But the Sith work entirely for their own gain, at the expense of others. That it's not that they're individualists or they're quote unquote more reasonable in the sense that they're on board with their emotions. They take this to an extreme, and that's what makes them evil.
Mm-hmm.
And juxtaposing Anakin's journey and Luke's journey in this context, where exactly is the overlap?
Yeah.
There is
the thing is that he kind of just states the thing, and he never really has anything to support it. That's what kind of irritates me a lot about these video essays type, is that they kind of just say things without really supporting it, or at least like very thinly supporting it. What they're usually talking about, and it makes it hard for me to understand what they're trying to actually say. They assume that you just know what they're talking about. It is frustrating, especially when you come from a more neutral stance, and it's just like, I don't know what you're on about, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Please elaborate more, because I have no idea what you're on.
Mm-hmm.
And like he compares and stuff. It's getting hot in here. It's making it hard for the focus.
At the moment that Palpatine electrocutes himself, he was spurred by sympathy. Anakin's turn back to the light comes at the moment that Luke is electrocuted. In some ways, Anakin never changes.
Empathy.
And that's exactly why he changes.
This isn't true, by the way.
Anakin, he wants to save his wife. I don't get the whole sympathy thing from death.
The funny thing about Luke sparing Vader in Return of the Jedi is that both Yoda and Obi-Wan effectively tell him, well, effectively it is just Obi-Wan saying it, but Yoda sort of implies it as well, that he has to kill Vader, which is very much against what Yoda taught Luke in Episode 5. A Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack. And by sparing Vader, he essentially stays true both to his own morality and also the principles that were taught by his masters. It's like with Anakin, as far as I can tell, there isn't really a moral quandary like that.
And it's well, for Anakin, it's pretty black and white. If he wants to save his wife, he gotta do the thing. Or if not, well, obviously he cares about his wife, and there's not much for like why he wants to stick with the Jedi at this point. I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard. For me, it's hard to argue because his relation, everything's very thin. So it's like
I don't know why Anakin believes in the Jedi. I mean, to be fair, I don't even know what the Jedi are in the prequels, if we're going just by the text of the movies. So...
I wish I had AC right now. It's hard to fucking focus right now. I'm just dozing off.
But yeah, like it seems like this guy wants us to think that Anakin saves Palpatine out of sympathy, I guess. But that doesn't really make sense.
It's not even shown that to be that.
He saves him because he's selfish.
He wants to save Padme. I need him.
I don't get the impression that he saved Luke out of sympathy either.
Yeah, I concur with that. I think he saves Luke because he's the last vestiges of his conscience. But that's if you don't take the prequels into account. If you take the prequels into account, it doesn't really make sense at all because Anakin had no conscience. He is a psychopath. He is a emotionally stunted sociopath in a lot of ways.
For some reason, even though like every other Jedi is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's wrong with his in training in particular to make him that way. He just is that way.
Yeah.
Since you seem like a relatively well-adjusted kid,
Yeah, so he degraded somehow.
It's surprisingly well adjusted considering his upbringing.
Yeah, and then
I would even say surprisingly,
Mhm.
like his upbringing, from what we see in the movies, is quite tame. The label of slave really has no real meaning to him in particular. At least from what we've been shown in the movies alone, I can't see anything other than just a very chill, relaxed life up until the Phantom Menace.
Attack of the Clones, you mean?
Yeah. No, I was talking about his slavery, like his time as a slave.
That too, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, let's finish this up.
I would have
Sam
to
is
invent
directly obsessed with
that
finale,
myself.
Revenge of the Sith. And I'm telling you, this finale is unbelievable.
Oh no, this bit! Oh god, this is gonna be
Wait,
like
who's
2
this?
minutes of this is gonna be like 2 minutes of this lady just
Who's she?
jerking off this movie. It's gonna be great.
Her name is Camille Paglia. Paglia.
I'll Google her.
Oh, you're gonna make it.
To Revenge of the Sith.
Huh.
And I'm telling you, this finale, it's unbelievable. It takes place on the volcano planet of Mustafar. And what I was researching, I was just amazed.
Here we
by what
go.
it took them like 10 months, to make this model and then raise it up on a giant platform to tip it, pump system to have
Hit the
the
music.
lava flowing.
Wah, wah, wah.
Tepid contemporary art seemed compared to the passionate quality of this finale with this huge musical score, and you're getting this tremendous duel that's like dance theater, the longest duel ever filmed. This is contemporary
Yeah,
dance.
it's too long.
Yeah, it's a little bit too long.
You keep scrolling through, you're gonna see that this is gonna be much the rest of the runtime of the video. It's
Like,
just her
I
jerking the
think,
movie off.
I think there's a clip on YouTube showing this duel without the intercuts to Yoda and Palpatine. This fight is like 10 minutes long, and almost none of it is actually needed. like there's the occasional bit of cool choreography, I guess, but there's no actual progression or commentary or visual storytelling at play with Anakin or Obi-Wan up until they actually start talking at the very end of the fight, or at the beginning of the fight, I guess.
Epic.
Yeah.
Here we go. You can like hover your mouse over the timeline. You can see this is what.
And the passionate emotion, the two love hate between these two men, and the whole thing's like a Puccini opera. And then you have this like huge, like it's like romantic nature painting, apocalyptic landscape of the lava. All right, and then. And you get this theme, the crosscut. Lucas crosscuts. There's the destruction of the Senate chamber going on the planet of Coruscant. Okay, so you get this theme of the destruction of.
By the way, I want to say
this
this duel, the duel between Yoda and Palpatine, is better than the Mustafar fight.
Yeah.
I know that might be a hot take, but I very much think that's true.
No, honestly, I agree. Yeah. It showcases Sidious's powers with the Force much more potently in this one. Yoda makes a good foil.
It does create a little bit of a plot hole of why wasn't he using more of these powers when he was fighting against Mace Windu and the others.
Yeah.
Well, I think the argument there is that he knew Anakin was going to show up, but I mean, I have my own issues with that.
That's
you would have to assume.
Yeah,
that is that's a massive risk. That is a hell of a risk.
Yeah, like, the funny thing is, like, Palpatine takes so many ridiculous risks with his plans in this movie, or in all the movies, to be fair.
Okay, it's getting real hot. All right, yeah.
Let's finish this up.
destruction of industry going on. Because as these two guys are wrestling around, they like throw off the whole control panels, okay, and the whole industrial complex of the planet of Mustafar starts degenerating.
Wasn't that convenient?
Girders in the lava like this. All right, and then the revelation after 30 years. How did Darth Vader get born? Who is Darth Vader? How did he end up being Robot
this
Man?
is kind
How
of
did that happen?
silly in terms of how it's framed.
This feels like somebody. This.
She's
Okay,
deep
so who's
throating the
here?
movie at this point.
Yeah. So who here is familiar with Chester A. Bum?
Nope.
I'm not even familiar at all.
Okay. Let me pull up Chester A. Bum, or a review from Chester A. Bum.
Interesting name, by the way.
Yeah, Chester or Bum reviews from the Nostalgia Critic. Any of you familiar with that?
Ow.
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Like I'm aware of the Nostalgia
vaguely,
Critic, but
So this is his review of Prince Caspian. Like, I mean,
Caspian. Oh yeah.
Greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. There's these kids, and they're at a train station, and the train station turns into a fantasy land.
Train stations will do that. I had a train station that turned into a fantasy land. Of course, I was smoking something probably illegal.
And there's lions and bears. It was kind of like being in The Wizard of Oz, except with bloodshed. And there's this mousy. He's so cute, and he sounds just like that stand-up comedian. Carlos Mencia.
Wait, no, that's not it.
Eddie Izzard. He sounds like Eddie Izzard, who's kind of like Carlos Mencia,
Except that he's British, he likes to wear dresses, and he's funny.
and the name of the lion is Assland. They named him after a world populated by asses. What kind of a name is that anyway? It's like calling it Butt Kingdom. It makes no sense. And there's
that's
dwarves.
kind of funny. That's
so,
kind of funny.
so this so what this lady is saying is a more eloquent version of Mr. Bum.
God damn.
I mean, let's just call him Doug because it is just Doug Walker.
Okay, Doug is pretty much the exact same of what she is doing.
He loses his arms and his legs. And he catches on fire from the volcano. He incinerates all these horrors.
And they do this, and they do that, and they do this, and the thing happens. It's crazy, man.
With the nice ladies.
It's so similar. It's almost exactly the same. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Also, this whole sequence is just so silly to me. Like, first, it's over, Anakin. I have the high ground, which I know it's a meme. Blah blah blah. But it's like Anakin can literally just do this tiny jump across the lava river, and this ain't a problem. And instead,
It needs to be
stands there and
dramatic.
gloats. Yeah, instead he stands there and gloats, like, you underestimate my power. And then he does this fucking stupid ass jump. And he ends up getting 3 of his limbs cut off. As in, the 3 limbs that weren't already cut off.
You didn't even sit through most of the Tromeo and Juliet review. I just showed you the bad bits, or the fun bits, as I like to put it. Where Romeo and Juliet end up together, but they're siblings, so their children come out as mutants.
Fucking Valyrians, I swear to God.
Yeah.
His broken body is taken with surgical droids, putting him together. Okay, it's like a Frankenstein monster thing. Cross-cutting to Natalie Portman dying in childbirth, and then
I wouldn't say
after all these
Frankenstein.
horrors, okay, incredible control, unbelievable control of tone. All right.
By the way, Natalie Portman's death acting is atrocious.
Yeah. Okay. Doesn't that woman look very similar to Neil Gaiman?
I didn't get that impression. But
And then this
No,
thing
it's just the
happened, and
face.
then that thing.
also, by the way, I just have to note, why exactly does Obi-Wan leave Anakin on the lava river?
Yeah, why doesn't he just put him out of his
Good
misery
question.
and kill him?
Good question.
And,
For another time.
This is something that I hoped against hope.
I
would have
have to
been-
go.
would have been
So you
addressed
guys
in
have fun without me for a minute, or forever.
Okay.
This is something that I hoped would have been
ya.
addressed in something like a Kenobi miniseries. Like, did he just feel too sentimental to do it? Was it? Did he not feel he deserved the mercy? Did he sense Palpatine coming? Like, did he just hate? Did he just grow to hate Anakin enough to leave him there to suffer and die alone? Like, he doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't mercy kill him. He doesn't comfort him. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't make any effort to save him. He just sort of leaves him there. And it's not like he has no options.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really frustrating. Let's finish this thing up, shall we?
Separated because
Yeah.
no one knows they exist. Okay, separated, and they're taken to distant planets. And one is a beautiful planet based on Switzerland. Okay, with like and it is footage of Switzerland with
Based
like
on
mountains and
Switzerland?
valleys. You know, and the other one is a desert planet. Planet was Tatooine with its double suns and so on. And so you get this amazing thing: strong men arriving with baby handed off to other strong men. Strong man sitting with wife, okay, against the great landscape. Okay,
Well-
it is so beautiful.
Well, Lucas
okay?
handed off
I
to
think that,
Baru,
first of
not
all,
to Owen.
it's extremely progressive. Okay, to end with this idea of its tenderness. Of
Excuse me,
men,
I'm going
okay,
to the
towards
corner
babies,
where I can
and not
just
children, but
spy on
toward
a little
babies.
boy.
The fact that she says progressivism is weird. Weird.
It is very strange, yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
It was so absolutely gorgeous. I'm saying, my God, okay, nothing has been produced. I'm serious. Nothing in the last 30 years in any of the arts that has been produced as emotionally compelling and significant as the finale of Revenge of the Sith.
So go ahead and say that
Nonsense.
these films are cheesy pop culture, that they're kids' movies about space wizards or whatever the heck.
Even this guy
Talk about
makes
Patrick
fun.
Williams, for
Patrick
God's
Williams.
sake. It's full circle.
Oh man, that's
All these squares make a
hilarious.
circle.
That is freaking hilarious. I love that he's like taking pot shots at Patrick Williams, even though he's making similar arguments.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this guy is basically just Patrick, but for Anakin in the prequels.
Yeah.
Well, you want to call them. You can say the same thing about The Tempest, the Iliad, or about Gilgamesh. I mean, the origins of literature are in kids' movies about space wizards. Epic fantasy is the root of the tree of literature. A better critique of these films would be, this is a commercial product of the culture industry. And that would be impossible to argue with because it's true. And yet, they're also metaphysically rich works of art with a dense weave of themes and motifs that rewards deep thinking and multiple viewings. Inheriting such a franchise, being asked to write the next chapter in such a rigorous and mythologically informed saga is an intimidating task, to say the least. In a sense, those responsible were set up to fail, and therefore I don't blame anyone for fumbling that path.
Okay, so
That was a word salad.
Wait, what they should have done?
Okay. Let me see something.
Oh my god, he actually did.
I think it is.
Christ.
I think it's that one. How it should have ended.
Does Rey have an arc?
Well, the answer is no.
Anyway, so Camille Paglio, however you pronounce that, mentioned that there is no moment in any piece of media in the last 30 years that has been as compelling as powerful as the end of Revenge of the Sith. Lord of the Rings begs to differ. Lord of the Rings movies.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of you guys have any more examples? Because I can think of a few.
Terminator.
Well, I mean, when did you say this? Because that kind of puts.
It is definitely post 2006, since that's when Revenge of the Sith came out, I believe.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. So it would have
Prince
to
of
be
Egypt?
2006 or later.
So let's just say late 2005, early 2006.
Yeah.
Like that's our cutoff. So Terminator. So let's see. So Terminator came out 1980s. So that falls within the same category. Same with Judgment Day. I would say both of those are far more emotionally resonant than Revenge of the Sith. Alien and Aliens, I would say, more emotionally impactful.
Prince of Egypt?
Yes.
Prince of Egypt, yeah. That is really good.
That is that is an extremely good movie. And very emotionally resonant.
Let's see. Okay, I might be stretching a little bit here with the time constraint, but Amadeus.
Amadeus,
yeah.
That's actually a very good point. Amadeus is a really good movie.
7?
Okay, so I looked this up, and apparently this speech of hers is from a Q&A session for her book Glittery Images from 2012.
Well, much as I would like
through art from Egypt to Star Wars.
So much as I would like to put Whiplash in there from 2014, but we got to put a cutoff of can't be before, it has to be before 2005. Kind of to a certain extent, yeah.
So like, if it's earlier than 1982, then it doesn't count, I guess.
I would say 75, since she said 30 years, and she's saying it about 2005, right?
She's saying it around like 2012.
Oh, she's saying it about 2012. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so I would say Iron Man has a much more emotionally resonant ending than Revenge of the Sith.
Iron Giant, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. The ending of Redwall Season 3 is way more emotionally resonant than anything in this.
Kung Fu Panda 2?
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda 2. Like, there's some... Like, Kung Fu Panda 2 is really good.
It is. It's really, really good. Let's see.
Shen, best villain ever.
I think a lot of people would cite Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
Yep.
Never seen it, but I imagine that it's good. It's got some good stuff in it.
The Green Mile?
The
Green Mile?
Prestige by Christopher Nolan.
Prestige, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I would agree with that. Prestige is very emotionally resonant because you see a man, what exactly the lengths a man went to keep his trick alive.
And, you know, the sort of, what should we call it? This is the funny thing about Christopher Nolan. I like it when his movies play around with how we understand cinematic language. And The Prestige does a lot of that. And funnily enough, The Prestige came out in 2006, just a year after Revenge of the Sith.
Wow.
Schindler's List.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, just consider the final scene. I could have done more. Well, I know that's technically not the final scene, but you get.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
The Last Samurai.
Okay. The Dark Knight, that's a good example, actually. Hello? Sorry.
Hello.
Sorry, everybody cut out.
Raika and Raptor are both saying How to Train Your Dragon in the chat.
I would agree with How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, that's a good one.
And Raptor also mentioned Memento, which I would say is pretty good.
Yeah. So in a sense, we've named at least what, 15, 20 that are better than this?
Give or take.
Yeah. We're at least upwards of 20.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I think we will call it good for today. Tomorrow, I know that was going to be Warhammer 40K, but Drake asked to reschedule it. So I think I'll have to figure out what we're going to be doing. Maybe a movie for the afternoon or something. We'll have to see. But anyway.
I mean, good watch Red Sonja.
See ya.
Sorry, what was that?
Bye.
Codex?
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Enough! Kill me! Just end it.